Welcome to Paul Brown Stadium for the 123rd meeting between the Miami RedHawks and the Cincinnati Bearcats. Hans, welcome to Paul Brown Stadium. We're here at the home of the Cincinnati Bengals for this big-time matchup, the oldest college football rivalry that's active and non-conference here today. Actually, tonight on this rainy evening here in downtown Cincinnati. And Hans, what are we looking for from the RedHawks here to get into the win column for the season?
We're looking for a bounce-back effort. Last week, if you look at box numbers, Gus Ragland didn't do too bad, threw over 350 yards and completed 3 touchdowns, had no picks, no fumbles. So when you look at the numbers at that, you think, wow, they did pretty well. They only lost by a touchdown to Marshall, but a lot of that was just ineffectiveness throughout the whole game, starting out slow. So I see if we got to keep pace. We can't keep playing catch-up the whole game.
Absolutely, as the captains from both teams are meeting at midfield for the coin toss. And Cincinnati has elected to defer the ball for the first half and elect to receive during the second half. So Miami's offense will take the field first, and looking for the homecoming for the Cincinnati kid, Gus Ragland, to lead the RedHawks onto the field and get a good drive to start off the game here.
Definitely, for sure.
To go over your starters for the Miami RedHawks, at quarterback, like we said, we have Gus Ragland. At running back, we have the redshirt senior from Tallahassee, Florida, Kenny Young. We have Jack Sorensen, who had a big game last week against Marshall. We have the ever so dangerous key player on offense for me, James Gardner from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At the other wideout, we have Luke Mayock from Sugar Land, Texas. At left tackle, we have Jordan Rigg. At left guard, we have Sam McCullum. At center, we have Danny Galaski. At right guard, we have Jarrett LaRubio. And at right tackle, we have Tommy Doyle. And to round out your starting 11 for your RedHawks, we have tight end Nate Becker, who had a pretty good game, but we'll also see a big dose of Andrew Homer at that tight end position from the RedHawks. So the RedHawks special team unit kickoff return are onto the field and just waiting for the kickoff team for the Cincinnati Bearcats. A pretty good crowd on hand given the weather. It's rained ever since yesterday, so we've had nonstop rain, flash flood warnings throughout the tri-state area here in Cincinnati. So we're going to get it going here, and the field looks pretty intact. As of course in Paul Brown we have artificial turf, so it looks like it's drained pretty well. Both sidelines looking a little antsy to just get this started. A late kickoff here for both the teams, as you don't usually get the 8 o'clock kickoff for the American teams and the MAC teams here. So exciting stuff. Miami's the 1.5 point favorite tonight, and we're gonna see what happens. As everybody knows, of course, as last year, Miami blew a 14-point lead with about 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, they're up 17-6, and with 3 minutes left, that's when they started to give up that lead. So we want to see if we can hold on to a lead and actually stay on top with it.
And as Cincinnati gets ready to kick it off, we would like to introduce our producer for tonight, Cody Shagovac, is here with us. Cody, how you doing?
Good. Good to talk to you, Kenny. How you doing today?
We're good, and we're glad to have you here. Cody's going to provide us with some in-depth stats and some fun facts, and give us some more analysts as
looks
he's
like
along for the ride for us.
Looks like the ball keeps falling off the tee here before we get off on the kickoff.
Yeah, absolutely. A very windy day, windy night here on the banks of the Ohio River.
But yeah, thanks for having me, Kenny. I'm excited to be here and work with you guys this season.
Absolutely. So the ball will be kicked off, and it looks like it's going to be downed in the end zone by the RedHawks. That's looks to be Jacob Swartz, who's going to, Maurice Thomas, the junior from Oxford, Ohio, as Gus Ragland's going to take his offense onto the field and pick up the sticks at the 25-yard line, moving left to right across your radio dial or your YouTube screen, whatever you are listening and tuning in to us on. So we're going to get it going with a four-wide set for Gus Ragland with his running back to his left. Ragland's going to make a check at the line. Alonzo Smith to his left. We're going to get a dead ball to start the game here, and looks to be a delay of game. That penalty is going to go against the quarterback, Gus Ragland. Gus Ragland going down, he went to high school right down the street here, Moeller High School. Very, very good high school in the GCL League here in the Cincinnati metropolitan area. So we're going to start it back up with a 1st and 15 for Ragland. He's going to take another check at the line. Same formation as he has Smith to his left. He's going to go for Gardner, and Gardner's going to go up, and he's going to be tipped and caught. Gardner had a lot of contact there, and he came up with the ball, and that's going to bring up a first down for the RedHawks at the 40-yard line, moving very close to the midfield and already knocking on the door at the Bearcats' territory. And this is going to be a handoff to Alonzo Smith, and nothing's going to be doing there as that defensive line from Cincinnati swallows them up. And that's going to be the key today, be able to run the ball. Last week we didn't see Miami be able to run the ball very effectively here, Hans.
Yeah, I agree with that, and especially with it raining right now, it might be a little bit slick for players, so that can get dangerous waters. Maybe someone slip on a cut, and could be turnover central over here.
So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 11 for the RedHawks at their 41. Ragland's going to drop back. He's got a man, and it's Gardner again. Good for about 8 yards on the play, and that's going to bring up about a 3rd and 4 at their own 47-yard line as the Miami RedHawk offense is going to look to the sideline and get their call. Ragland's going to line up in the pistol set with Smith on his left, look to the sideline, get another signal. Ragland's going to make a check at the line as Cincinnati is going to stack the line and shows blitz, and they're coming. And Ragland overthrows, and it's almost intercepted by Cincinnati. Ragland's got to be a little bit happy about that as he threw it right into the hands of the Cincinnati defensive back, Tyrell Gilbert, the senior from Cincinnati. So that's going to bring on the punting unit for the RedHawks.
You definitely got to be fortunate on that last play with it being tipped right at the line. So with these slippery conditions, you know, DBs are DBs for a reason. They can't catch, so very fortunate on that play. At least that's what rumors say.
As Kyle Kramer is going to punt it away, and it's going to be a low, swivelly kick, and it's going to drop, and it's going to be fielded by Cincinnati, and he's going to go right down at the 10-yard line as he really couldn't get any footing there, and it was a little risky play to field that punt as Khalil Lewis is on the return there, the senior from Miami, Florida. So that's going to bring on the Bearcat offense, who had a good amount of success in Pasadena last week as they went to the Rose Bowl and knocked off Chip Kelly's UCLA team. So to start the game, we're going to get a little bit of a quarterback option here as Cincinnati likes to play Michael Warden, the second, and Hayden Moore and Desmond Ryder, as Ryder had a lot of the snaps last weekend in Pasadena as they prevailed over UCLA. And the first play of the game is going to be for the Bearcats is going to be a run up the middle and nothing doing there, and that's going to bring up 2nd and 10 at Cincinnati's own 10-yard line.
And with the senior Hayden Moore, he's had a lot of struggles and difficulties here at Cincinnati. With Riddler, freshman out of Louisville, kind of sharing the snaps with him, it kind of shows the difficulty that he's had at his tenure at UC. And he has some talent. It's just you can kind of see him ripped a lot on Twitter, and I've heard a lot with Mo Egger talking about what they got going on here at UC. So usually when you have two quarterbacks, you don't got one.
So Ryder's going to take the snap. He's going to keep it and get out to his tight end. It's going to be a first down for the Bearcats. There's a little nifty play there run-pass option for the Bearcat offense. So that's going to bring up a first down at the 25-yard line as we tick down inside the 12-20 mark of the first quarter here. On that reception was Josiah Doguara from Folsom, California. And that's going to be another handoff off the middle, and it's going to be tackle for a loss, and it looks to be Ben Kipler on that tackle, the defensive end for the RedHawks. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 11. Cincinnati's going to come out with three wide receivers out to Ryder's left. Ryder's going to tuck it and run up the middle. He's going to get a free. He's got the corner, and he's going to get right up to the first down marker, and this is going to be close. It might bring up a very short 3rd down, and it looks like he is short. It's going to be a 3rd and 1 as he got it out to about the 34-yard line. So big 3rd down for the Miami RedHawk defense as they're trying to get off the field and get their offense back the ball. It's going to be a handoff up the middle, and it's going to be close, but I think that he was stopped, and it looks like the Miami defense is going to get off the field. That handoff looked to be to Michael Warren, the 2nd. And that's going to be bring up 4th down, and the special team unit for both sides are going to take the field. The ever dangerous Kenny Young is going to put his heels at his own 25-yard line, and Miami's looking to get back into some pretty good field positions, hoping for a good return here from Young. As the kick is up and away, Kenny Young steps back. He's going to field it. He's going to go right, and he's going to get taken down right around the numbers and go down about the 26-yard line. So Miami's going to pick it up. Not too bad field position to start their 2nd drive of the game here as we are at the 10:07 mark of the first quarter. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as the Red Hawk offense is going to take the field. for the second time tonight as they move the ball pretty well and looking for James Gardner, as we hit on last week, Hans, that you got to get the ball to your key player, James Gardner. And when he's healthy and Gus Ragland is healthy, the Miami offense is clicking on all cylinders. So let's see if they can make a move here, as Gus Ragland is going to wait for the referees to give him the signal and go. And we're going to get it started here. With 10:07 to go in the first quarter, the RedHawks will pick up the ball at the 26-yard line. It's going to be a handoff, but no, it's going to be a fake, and Ragland's going to keep it and get out to about the 35-yard line, as he got a couple yards on that, and then it's going to bring up a 2nd and 3.
And just Gus Ragland's showing his mobility and able to, stretch out when you have a threat like that and you have a threat on your running back. They'll kind of go straight for him and give him an option.
Ragland's going to send out Kenny Young. He's going to go for the swing pass. Young's going to get knocked real hard at the numbers by the Cincinnati defensive back there, as he had nowhere to go there, and it's going to be a loss on the play for the RedHawks. So it's going to bring up a 3rd and 7. That was number 11, middle linebacker for Cincinnati, Brian Wright, the junior from Newcastle, Delaware, really bringing the boom there, Hans, as we could hear that all the way up here in this corner, as we got a really good setup today.
Yeah, that's when we heard up here, and that's when he'll feel in the morning. So he might be a little rethinking next time they have a play like that.
So Ragland's going to go a little bit of hurry up out of the shotgun, look to the sideline, make a little bit of a check. He's going to drop back. He's got some time, going for Gardner, and it's going to be overthrown, as Gardner had to turn his back and try to look back for the ball, was unable to come up with it, so that's going to bring up a 4th and 7. So the RedHawks' second drive of the evening is going to stall out, as you're looking for your big guy and Gus Ragland to James Gardner, but just couldn't connect with him, as he was open for a second, but the secondary of Cincinnati closed in on that. So Lewis is going to field the punt, and it's going to bounce and go out of bounds at about the 35-yard line of Cincinnati. The ref keeps on moving it up there. So it's going to be down at about the 38-yard line of Cincinnati, and that's where they're going to pick it up. And we're going to take this quick break and bring in our friend Cody about his thoughts on this young game and how we haven't had much doing here as the RedHawks stalled out. We're about to see the second possession for the Bearcats.
Yeah, here I'm thinking right now we just got to get our offense going. We got to get the run game established here. It looks like Cincinnati's showing a lot of blitz and trying to really cover our gaps here. Miami needs to do the same thing on defense. They need to bring it in. Last week I noticed we didn't get a lot of pass rush on the quarterback or the running back. We just got to establish ourselves in the trenches. That's where games are won, really. And here we go for this game. I mean, I think that it's just big man versus big man here in this cold weather, rainy Saturday in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Football weather.
Football weather. It's big football weather right here. This is what you think about when you play in the backyard with your friends here. But now we're at the big stage.
Absolutely, and I mean, you and me, and I know Hans we were talking about just casually this week how Miami really couldn't stop the run at all against Marshall, and that's what Cincinnati really capitalized on as they took on UCLA last week, rushing for almost 200 yards.
Yeah.
And you were researching about Michael Warren II, as he had 35 carries for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was really the key player in that win as they went on the road and got themselves a big Power 5 win. And that's big, given, you saw what UCF did last year, obviously claiming themselves as national champions. So the American Conference is very strong, looking very strong this year, and UC does have a late battle with UCF this year. So American's looking really strong. I mean, the MAC's looking a little bit strong too, as Eastern Michigan went on the road today and knocked off Purdue. So.
Yeah, Purdue actually paid them about $500,000 to come in there and lose to them. So that's an interesting factor today right there. But yeah, It's interesting how you get some of these small-time conferences that'll come in and show up out of nowhere and win. And, I think that's really just comes down to recruiting and just all team wins right there.
Absolutely. As the Cincinnati offense is going to take the field, and Desmond Ryder's going to get the call again, as we're going to see a strong dose of him, and you got to be careful with him as the dual threat quarterback, as he likes to tuck it and go, and you always have the dangerous Warren the second, as he's going to get the handoff, but it's going to be a tuck and run by Ryder, and he's not going to get anything, as he's going to scamper out of bounds, and it's going to bring up about a 2nd and 10.
And just watching these two teams early, I feel like with this weather, even though the rain's still coming down, it's rather light. Really putting an importance on the run game is going to be very effective here, because any slip up, any missed tackles can really lead to possible big plays down the road.
So Cincinnati's going to form up in a pretty bunch set. They have 4 wideouts, and Ryder's going to drop back, and he's got a man over the middle. It's going to be pretty close to a first down, and they're going to give him the first down. And that looked to be Warren on the reception there. Correction, that was Lewis on the reception. Tackle made by DeAndre Daniels, as the handoff's going to go to Warren, and as he's going to pick up another yard for the Bearcats. That's going to bring up a 2nd and 9 at midfield, as the clock ticks down to the 7:40 mark of this first quarter. And the rain has not stopped. Like we said, it has not stopped raining since yesterday here in the Cincinnati area, even up north, a little bit north in the Miami-Oxford campus. It hasn't stopped raining. So very wet conditions here, as Ryder's going to tuck it and go, and he's got some space. He's going to break a couple tackles. He's going to try to go for the corner, and he's going to be run out at about the 10-yard line, and no flags on the field, so that's going to stand. And the Bearcats are knocking at the door, as the Miami defense is backed up into their own end zone. So Miami looking to stiffen up here, and like we were talking about last week, bending and not breaking. And the Miami defense came out pretty sluggish, as the whole team came out sluggish last week and stiffened up a little bit. So let's see if they can get a stop here, as the handoff's going to go to Warren. And Miami up the middle, their run defense has been pretty decent so far tonight.
I also feel like it is kind of a tough ask for some of these defensive players. It's a late game. It's 8 o'clock, and it's been raining all day. I feel like that's the same reason why UC elected to kick. They were slow their first drive. You can see them kind of moving down on the second drive. Sometimes you got a feel-out process where you can kind of warm up and get into the game. But when you do that, sometimes you can fall behind.
Absolutely. As Ryder's going to have 3-man out to his right. He's going to have his running back to his left as he shifts over. Warren, it's going to be another handoff to Warren. He's dancing around, and he's going to get taken down at about the 2-yard line. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and goal for the Bearcats and Coach Luke Fickell, as you guys are both familiar with Luke Fickell, coming from Ohio State, who was the interim coach back in the day.
Yeah, obviously that 7-6 season. But this is a critical down, especially if you're the RedHawks. You got to be happy if they can leave away with a field goal attempt here.
Yeah, as the Bearcats are working in the end zone, where the plethora of Miami students have made the trip down, and they're going to be making some noise down there, as it's a little bit windy if you can hear the ref trying to talk down there. So
sounds like thunder. I'm not going to speak on that, though.
So lots of runs so far, as we've seen with a couple of Ragland's long balls being blown around a little bit. So tough grip on the ball, and with that win is not a good recipe for running the ball. So Miami's hasn't been able to get it going on the ground, and Cincinnati has with that run-pass option, and Ryder's been able to get out a little bit.
But I feel like, isn't that what fans want? I mean, I've always wondered, like, why don't footballs make more domes? I mean, obviously domes cost more money, but within being in Paul Brown without this dome, I mean, this is true football weather. We got wet seats. We got fans in ponchos, It's going to lead to sloppy plays, but that's what football is. It just reminds you of that same thing Cody brought back over, just playing in your backyard.
Absolutely, as Cody just dropped me a tip that Cincinnati in the red zone last year was about 54% in scoring. So that's pretty good. If you can score every other time that you get into the red zone, that's gonna.
54%. That doesn't sound too high for me though. The red zone, you should be pretty accurate in there. So 54% lets me know it's 50-50.
I mean, everybody can't be Andy Dalton, so
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know about that, but
even Gus Ragland's done pretty well in the red zone. I don't have the specific numbers on me right now, but with here he said with 16 straight red zone possessions dating back to last season, those 16, Miami has scored 13 and had 3 field goals.
Yeah.
So not counting last week, but of last year and all that. So if you're saying 54%, that's a huge discrepancy from 100% in the red zone. So I like the odds. You want to flip a coin, Cody? Cody, my bad. I flipped your guys' names together.
Yeah, we got a lot of wives here except for Hans. So
yeah, Hansi. That's what a lot of people call me.
So we have a timeout on the field as Cincinnati wants to think over this important 3rd down and 2 at their own 2. 3rd and goal at the 5:37 mark of this first quarter as the rain continues to come down here on the banks of the Ohio River. So good amount of empty seats as I thought there was going to be a big crowd on hand, but here we go as we're going to get another timeout as Miami seemed to be caught off guard there by the Cincinnati offense. And Coach Martin wanted to talk it over as he did not like what he saw, and it looked like Miami might have had a couple extra guys on the field there.
Well, then it's a smart timeout then. Don't want to give them a free set of downs, especially this deep in their territory.
I'm checking the radar here for the rest of the evening. It's not looking pretty good as we've got rain rolling in just about everywhere.
Oh, it's going to be endless. It's going to be all night for sure. So the drive back home for some people, definitely gonna be cautious on that.
Absolutely, everybody needs to be safe out there driving. So both teams are going to take the field once again as we're going to try for our 3rd time to get this 3rd and goal for the Bearcats as Ryder's going to have his running back Warren to his right, and he's going to motion out to the left. Warren's going to take a little wildcat snap here. He's going to motion his tight end over, and it looks like Warren's going to bobble it, and he's going to be taken down, but it looks like he did get into the end zone as he absorbed the first line of defense from Miami and spun off the tackle and got into the end zone. So that's going to put the Bearcats on top 6-0 pending the PAT here for the Bearcats. So not the start you exactly wanted as Miami fell behind to Marshall last weekend, and it looks like they're in the same position this weekend. So we're going to wait for the kick from Cole Smith, and it's up and good. So 7-0 as we go into late into the first quarter, and we have a flag on the field as there was a little bit of scuffle down there at the line after the play. So maybe some extracurricular activities are going to be called for some personal fouls here. So we're going to see what we got. Could be offset, but we're going to get the call shortly here as the head referee is going to let us know what's going on. And that's going to be an unsportsmanlike conduct on Miami. So that's going to affect Miami on this kickoff. So 7-0 here as the Bearcats take the lead here at Paul Brown Stadium. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium, as we had a little bit of technical difficulties trying to get you some commercial break music, as we're working on some sponsors but haven't been able to secure any yet. So we're going to get the kickoff here as Miami's going to return it here. Back deep for the RedHawks is Jalen Bester and Maurice Thomas. Both very speedy guys. Bester from Bellevue, Illinois, and Maurice Thomas, local kid from Talawanda High School, right in Oxford. Ryan Jones is going to kick it off for Cincinnati, as that kick is up and away. It's going to be fielded by Jalen Bester at his own 10-yard line. He's going to go right up the middle and pick up a good amount of yards as he gets out to just about the Miami 35-yard line. So Miami and Gus Ragland's going to take the field with pretty decent field position here for their third drive of the game. So to recap what Ragland has done tonight, he has 3 completions on 5 attempts, so for 23 yards, and his longest was a 21-yarder to James Gardner to start the game right out the gate. So looking to improve a little bit there and move the ball a little bit and at least come away with some points to answer the Bearcats offense. So Ragland's going to have Smith to his left. It's going to be a motion, and Smith's going to get the handoff right up the middle and be met exactly at the line by the Bearcat defensive line, and he's going to go down for a gain of about 1.
And the only way this game is going to open up for our RedHawks is through this run game. It looks like the rain is lighting up a little bit. It's hard to tell in this press box. But for real, like, the only way you're going to see Gus Ragland get a little bit more opportunities to throw it downfield is if they're able to establish this run game.
So Gus Ragland is going to have Young in the slot. He's got Gardner way on his left. Young's going to come around. It's going to be handoff to Young. And no, it's going to be a keeper by Gus Ragland, and he's going to be taken down. It looks to be a horse collar. And we're going to confirm that call, but Ragland tucked it, faked the handoff to Young, and decided to keep it and got out for a couple of yards and was tackled. But we're going to might get a horse collar here, as Miami might be able to move the ball on the penalty. And we're going to get a face mask, actually, so Miami will move the ball and get a fresh set of downs, and it looks like the referees are going to spot the ball at the 49-yard line of the Bearcats. So Miami in Bearcat territory as they're going to pick it up from there, as Ragland's going to have Smith to his right, Kenny Young in the slot, and Gardner to his right. He's going to go out to Young in the slot. Young's going to make a move and get tripped up and go down, but not before he picks up about 5 yards. So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for the RedHawks as the clock ticks down to the 4:20 mark of the first quarter. Ragland's going to have a trips formation to his left with Gardner, Luke Mayock, and Jalen Bester. Bester's going to come around, fake the handoff, and they got a man wide open, and that was Homer right over the middle of the field, but Gus Ragland overthrew him just a little bit, and Andrew Homer has got to be kicking himself there, and Gus Ragland as well, as that had 6 written all over it.
Yeah,
so
that definitely, sorry.
It's going to bring up a 3rd down. What were you saying, Hans?
No, I said that definitely had 6 written all over. You're not going to see a lot of opportunities like that tonight. So for Miami, missing a chance on that one is definitely going to haunt them.
Yeah, and Andrew Homer, the local kid, redshirt sophomore, chopping at the bit to get in the end zone here in his hometown. Probably a big Bengals fan. It's been probably the first time he's played here. So missed opportunity for the RedHawks as they're going to try to convert on this 3rd down. It's going to be completed out to James Gardner, and he looks to have the 1st down as Miami picks up the 1st down and gets inside the 40-yard line of the Bearcats.
But it's nice to have a safety vessel in James Gardner with his frame of 6'4" and 217 pounds. We seem like we got a super fan here too that you can hear through our feed.
Ragland's going to tuck it, and they're going to try to get a screen pass out to Kenny Young. He's going to break a couple tackles, but get wrapped up as that tackle was made by big number 96 for the Cincinnati Bearcats. That looks to be Cortez Broughton out of Warner Robins, Georgia. So the 6'3", 290 Bearcat takes down Kenny Young, who is standing at a tall 5'7", 182 pounds.
Very tall, man. 5'7" is very tall. It's underrated.
It's going to go 2nd and 12. It's going to be handoff to Alonzo Smith. He's going to have a little bit of room and make it a lot more manageable 3rd down for the RedHawks as he gets inside the 35-yard line of the Bearcats. So that's going to bring up about a 3rd and 7. Gain of 4 on the play there for Alonzo Smith.
And this is a very crucial 3rd down, especially if you don't pick up the 1st down on this. Do you think this is close enough territory where you could see the RedHawks actually attempt a field goal?
Maybe. You do have the wind working against you. As Ragland's going to drop back, get a screen out to Kenny Young. Kenny Young's going to try to get out, but he's going to get tackled well before the 1st down marker, and that's going to bring up a 4th down and decision time for Chuck Martin here as they look like they're going to go for it. And then entering the game, the real key player for the RedHawks last week and leading the comeback, Jack Sorensen, number 13 for the RedHawks, entering the game as he's going to line up on the left side of the field for Ragland. He's got James Gardner to his right. Under him is Luke Mayock. Sorensen, like we said, on the left. Kenny Young in the backfield accompanying Gardner, or Ragland rather, as they're going to look to the sideline and get a call. Young's going to move to Ragland's left. Gardner's going to come across the formation to the left side, and they're looking for Gardner in the flat. He's got it completed, and he's going to get taken down at the 30-yard line, so nothing doing there for the RedHawks as they did get their man, James Gardner, out into open field, but great open field tackle there for Cincinnati as that tackle was made by number 7, Kobe Bryant, the sophomore from Cleveland, Ohio, for the Bearcats. So that's going to turn over the ball for the RedHawks, and taking the field once again is Desmond Ryder and his offense.
And a pretty bold move by Miami to go for it 4th down, but last week we saw against Marshall they actually went 2 for 5 on 4th down conversion, so it might speak to not enough trust in their defense or not enough trust in their legs for kicking.
So Ryder's going to tuck it and get his man out to in the flat, and it's going to pick up about 5 yards on the play.
But a question, though, like for a defense or for the offense, like how do you feel when you march down the field as Miami did and come up with 0? Do you feel that it's going to affect your offense next time you come through, or does the defense feel a little deflated that they're not able to kind of cut into this gap of this score?
Absolutely, as Delgara was on the reception there for 5 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 3, 8 yards rather, and it's going to be a handoff out to Warren as he's going to break a couple tackles and get out to midfield and pick up the 1st down for the Bearcats, as that's going to bring the clock to 34 seconds and counting here in the 1st quarter, as the Bearcats look to be driving again and go hurry up, and it's going to bring up a false start here for the Bearcats, and that's going to move them back, as it looks like. And the Bearcats there trying to get the Miami defense, catch the Miami defense off guard, and ended up catching themselves off guard. So that's going to back them up and bring up a 1st and 15 at their own 41-yard line for the Bearcats, as the clock's going to tick down inside 5 seconds. We might get a snap, and we're going to get a snap. Ryder's going to keep it and run to the right side and pick up a 1st down, as that was pretty easy. He went right out of bounds. Wasn't even touched until he was past the first down marker. So get out your staples. That was easy button, as we talked about last week, as that's going to bring an end to the first quarter. So Cincinnati gets out to an early lead on the Miami RedHawks, 7-0, as we will be right back for the second quarter from Paul Brown. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium here as the Miami RedHawks take on the crosstown rival Cincinnati Bearcats, as the Bearcats are driving once again, working their way into Miami territory, as the quarterback Ritter is going to take the snap, as we were pronouncing his name wrong. It's going to be a flea flicker, and Ritter's going to go deep for his man. It's going to be incomplete, as he out through him just a little bit, looking for his trusty tight end, DeGuerra, out of Folsom, California. Got to believe that he was happy to go into his home state and knock off the powerhouse in Chip Kelly, UCLA, last week.
And Chip Kelly's debut, to mention that as well. And it's not off to a good start for him, as they lost to Oklahoma again today. Something the RedHawks are trying to avoid, an 0-2 start.
So Ritter's going to hand it off. Or no, he's going to keep it and run and get out to the first down. That tackle is made by Quinn Calcagno, the defensive end for the RedHawks. And Cody, like you were saying at the break, the Bearcats and Luke Fickell and his offense really like Ritter to get out out by the numbers and break a couple tackles.
Yeah, it seems like every time they get out to the outside, Ritter's able to just beat everyone with his speed and get, a couple extra yards by the carry.
As it's going to be a handoff out to Warren and nothing doing there. As like we said, the RedHawks have been able to contain the Bearcats up the middle on their rushing, but they're just not unable to contain and make the tackles as once they get into the second and third levels of the RedHawk defense.
Yeah, it looks like Warren were able to hit him at the line, but then he keeps bouncing off for a couple extra 3-4 yards, and I think that's really going to hurt us. That in the outside run game we need to contain here if we're going to be able to stop the Bearcat offense marching down the field.
So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 9 as Ritter's going to tuck it and run up the middle and get taken down by the senior Nate Treywick, nose tackle for the RedHawks. Nate Treywick coming from Richmond, Indiana, right down the road from Oxford. Was a state champion wrestler in the state of Indiana, and I had a wrestling scholarship to Indiana University, turned it down to come play football for the RedHawks.
I mean, how could you? How could you not?
So it's going to be a 3rd and 4. Ritter's going to take it up the middle and get stopped, and that's going to bring up a 4th down. There's a little bit pushing and shoving down there, and helmets flying down there at the line of scrimmage, as both these teams don't like each other very much, as the wind seems to be picking up a little bit more as everybody in the stands throwing on their ponchos, rain jackets, garbage liners, whatever you can do to stay dry here. And it looks like Luke Fickle's going to decide to keep his offense on the field, but he's going to bring in Hayden Moore at quarterback.
First time that we've actually seen him and put in the game.
So Moore's going to have 4 weapons out to his right and left. And he's going to tuck it and run and break a couple tackles, but we got a flag on the field, and he's going to get taken down at the 10-yard line. But we're going to see what this is, and it looks to be in the vicinity of a holding call. And we're going to see what we get here, as we're going to get a holding call. So that's going to back up the Bearcats to about the 33-yard line. So let's see what they decide to do now, as we see Luke Fickle out on the big board here at Paul Brown. And it looks like he's going to keep the offense on the field here once again. And Hayden Moore, the senior from Clay, Alabama, 6'3", 215, is going to take the snap for the Bearcats. And we saw a lot more of Ritter like we did tonight last weekend against UCLA, but Hayden Moore did have a couple snaps. So we're going to get a timeout here, as Luke Fickle wants to talk it over and maybe just wanted to see what kind of matchups he would get from the RedHawk defense, and maybe going to talk it over and bring out the field goal unit. But like we said, Miami was working against the wind when they were going down towards this end zone, and now since the second quarter has begun, the Bearcats are working towards the wind and rain. So not a chip shot from the 33-yard line, bringing up a 40-plus yard field goal for the Bearcats. And it looks like they're going to bring on the punting unit and try to pin the RedHawks down deep in their territory.
And that's definitely a clear difference you'll see in the college game versus the NFL game. If you had a 40-something yard field goal in this range, you definitely would see the kicking unit trying to get an extra 3 points in.
And Kenny Young scrambling to get on the field there, as he was a little bit surprised that the Bearcats are punting it away. But it's going to be a short punt, and Kenny Young's going to catch it. Or no, it's going to be down by the RedHawks, as Kenny Young was bluffing there. Or it's going to be down by the Bearcats, rather, inside about the 5-yard line. So that's where Gus Ragland's going to pick it up. 7-0 here at Paul Brown Stadium, as the Bearcats lead the RedHawks. We'll be right back. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio.
Woo!
Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as Gus Ragland and the Miami offense are going to take the field in the corner in the shadow of their own goalpost. So that's where we're going to pick it up. 1st and 10, Miami at their own 5-yard line as they get a big stop, but they're pushed back as Ragland's going to hand it off to Kenny Young. Kenny Young's going to get out and fumble the football. It's going to be picked up. Looks like the RedHawks came up with it. But that's a little bit scary there as Kenny Young made a couple moves and the ball slipped out right away there. But the RedHawks come up with it at the 8-yard line. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 7 for the RedHawks as that ball has to be a little bit slippery no matter how much you dry it as those balls keep on going in circulation. And it looks like the rain is lighting up just a little bit, but still very wet out there. As Ragland's going to get it out to his tight end, and that looks to be to Nate Becker, the 5th-year junior from Carmel, Indiana, who's battled a couple injuries. So it's going to bring up a 1st and 10 for the RedHawks as they pick up the 1st down.
And just referencing the fumble earlier, we don't want that to hold back the RedHawks on their rushing attempts because, like we've seen with UC, a lot of the direct running with Ritter, that can really kind of sway and change this game.
So Ragland's going to make a check at the line as he has a trips formation to his left. He's going to bring Jalen Bester out. He's going to tuck it and go deep to Gardner. Gardner's going to go up, but it's going to be knocked away by the Cincinnati cornerback, Tyrell Gilbert.
And
once again,
just a lot of Miami fans not happy on that call. There looked to be a lot of contact on that one. So as you were saying earlier, these teams don't seem to like each other. It's going to be a chippy game. Weather's obviously in play as well.
Absolutely, as there was a little bit of pushing and shoving there. The refs probably just made the case that there was contact on both ends, but that's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for the RedHawks at their own 15-yard line as Ragland's going to bring Kenny Young over in the formation. We're going to get a dead ball whistle. And Coach Chuck Martin's going to want to talk it over here as he calls a timeout.
It's their 2nd one of the game, though, leaving them with only 1 left, with 10:54 left in this first half of play.
Yeah, and Cincinnati's taken 2-2 as well, so it's going to leave both teams with 1 timeout with 10:54 to go in the 2nd quarter. So Miami very fortunate to come up with the football after that Kenny Young fumble. So good recovery by them and looking to move the ball and get some points on the board as they haven't had much doing besides the couple passes to James Gardner and a couple of runs as James Gardner has 4 receptions for 38 yards. Nate Becker, 1 reception for 8 yards as we just saw that 1st down pass from Ragland to Becker as Ragland's going to bring Kenny Young in motion again. He's going to hand it off to Smith, who's going to get taken down at the 20-yard line, so picking up a couple of yards to make this now 3rd and 5, a little bit more manageable as the clock is going to tick down to the 10:30 mark, and Miami's going to bring in some fresh legs as Andrew Homer is going to enter the game. Jack Sorensen to Ragland's left as well as Kenny Young in the slot. Lonzo Smith accompanying Gus in the red zone, in the backfield here. Cincinnati defense showing blitz, but they're going to back off. Ragland steps up in the pocket. He's going to tuck in and run and get hit and go down just about 2 yards short of the 1st down marker. So that's going to bring up a 4th down for the RedHawks as Ragland looks to be shaken up a little bit there as he took a hard hit there as he stepped up in the pocket looking and had nowhere to go. So Kyle Kramer's going to kick it away and try to pin the Bearcats as far back as possible.
Yeah, Gus Ragland tried to do his best Riddler impression on that last play, which you can't blame him. In this condition, sometimes you're not going to see as much open coverage down the field and resort to the run.
Alden Knight's going to return the punt for the Bearcats. He's going to get shaken and put down at his own 15-yard line. So very good punt for Kyle Kramer and the RedHawks special teams unit, as the defense does have a little bit more room to work with than usual. So the offense of Ritter and the Bearcats are going to take the field once again. And as we were talking at the break, Ritter hasn't lost a beat here, as he has 85 rushing yards already on 7 attempts, and that brings up an average of 12 yards per carry. So,
I mean, for Ritter, it doesn't really seem like his job's been too difficult. I mean, if he has that much space to run, why not? He's either handing it off. He's only had 3 passing attempts. So with that, you know, he hasn't had a lot going on for him for real. He's just running options, and that's really what he's been. He's basically been their running back at the quarterback position.
absolutely, as we saw those obvious passing downs there at the last Bearcat possession, as we saw Hayden Moore come in for the Bearcats, but was unable to even get a pass off, as he ended up to be able to tuck in a run. Then the RedHawks came up with a stop. So RedHawks looking to pick up a stop here as we are midway through the second quarter here at Paul Brown.
I also got a question, though. I know that I made the reference earlier, like when you have 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have one. How do you feel like that kind of weighs on the confidence of a QB like Ritter, who is a freshman, who's been playing well this whole game, but when they feel like they get down to crunch time and they need a passing play, they take him out for the senior Moore?
I mean, it's not a good feeling to know that you could be pulled at any moment and there's a guy sitting there on the sideline with his chin straps fastened and ready to come in and relieve you of your duties. So, yeah, I mean, it could have taken an effect on the psyche of whichever quarterback it is, and I think that Luke Fickle is trying to figure it out, but I think if he wants to stick with this type of QB formula and try to only go to Hayden in the passing situations, as it looks like Ritter's going to take the field once again for the Bearcats. So, I mean, it's tough, especially for Moore, to come in cold and get thrown into positions that he has to throw it when everybody knows in the stadium that he's coming in to throw the football. So it's tough. I mean, you always want to have one that can do both, but sometimes you're not as fortunate as we are with Gus Ragland.
Got to get you a Gus Ragland.
Outstanding leader as well, as Ritter's going to tuck it and run, but going to try to go up the middle and only get about 3 yards on the play, so it's going to bring up a 2nd and 7.
And when you see him take it up the middle, I would love to see the RedHawks really get a lick on him, like Gus Ragland has had earlier, to make him really rethink about some of these runs he's really laying out on them. Because if he's just dancing all day, got to shake him up a little bit.
It's going to be a run up the middle for Warren, and he's going to go down, but picking up a couple extra yards there, as there's a little bit of pushing and shoving over there on the left side of the field from DeAndre Daniels, the senior from Goose Creek, South Carolina, and Khalil Lewis, the senior from Miami, Florida, for the Bearcats. So a little bit of a battle going on over there, but that's going to bring up a 3rd and 5. So money down here for the RedHawks, trying to get off the grass, as they like to say it. And Oxford, as the defensive backs coach, loves to say that. But Ritter's going to drop back. He's going to be chased, looking, and he's going to tuck it and be short of the 1st down. So it's going to be very close, though. He looked to be pretty short, and it looks like he's about a half a yard short, so it's going to bring up we still have yet to get a call here, and it's going to bring up a 4th down and 1 at the Bearcats' own 27. So the punting unit will come out. A little bit of delay there, as they weren't quite sure if they're going to come out and measure it, but nonetheless, the punting units come out. Kenny Young's going to be standing at his own 30-yard line waiting to return it. Hopefully get a good return. It's a pretty good punt as Young steps back and slips and it's going to hit the Bearcat gunner, and the ball is going to be marked down at the Miami 29-yard line. So with 7:27 to go, we're going to go to break as the Bearcats are leading the RedHawks here at Paul Brown Stadium. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. We'll be right back.
And
Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as the Miami RedHawks are trailing the Cincinnati Bearcats 7-0 with 7:27 to go here at Bengals Stadium here for Gus Ragland and his offense as he's going to take the snap, fake, and roll out. And he's got his man Jack Sorensen. He's going to be knocked down behind the line of scrimmage as that pass was completed, but loss of yards there for the RedHawks. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 11 here for Coach Martin and his offense.
Yeah, he laid one right on Sorensen on that one. There goes our #1 fan.
As Ragland's going to send his man in motion. He's going to get out to Kenny Young in the flat. Young's going to try to make a couple moves and dive forward and just about pick up 2 yards. So back to about the original line of scrimmage for the RedHawks, as that's going to bring up a 3rd and 9 at their own 30-yard line.
And RedHawks in a 3rd and really long situation. Basically, what we saw last time with the defense having a great outing, it kind of can be deflating if we don't find a way to pick up a first down.
So Ragland's going to be accompanied by Young in the backfield. He's going to get it out to Young for the swing pass. Young's in open field. He's going to cut it upfield, and looks like he picked up the right at the sticks, and there looks like they're going to move the chains here. And that's going to be a RedHawk first down for Kenny Young, as that swing pass, what they always like to run, move Kenny Young, get him in open space, and let that speed take care of the rest. So first down for the RedHawks at their own 40-yard line, trying to get a drive going here late in the 2nd quarter with as we approach the 5:50 mark here. As the RedHawks are going to take their time, maybe trying to use up some clock here. Kenny Young's going to come around the formation. It's going to be a fake handoff. Ragland's looking, throwing, and looking for James Gardner over there at the 40-yard line, but its pass is going to be incomplete as they're a little bit pushing and shoving, but they're going to be pretty understanding of the pushing and shoving today in the secondary from both standpoints. So, I mean, you got to appreciate how the referees are going to be consistent tonight and knowing what you can get away with, and it looks like you can get away with just about anything here at Paul Brown Stadium.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of mugging going on.
So the handoff's going to go to Smith. He's going to get out into a little bit of room and get about a yard on the play. Looked like he run about 7 going east to west instead of north and south.
Hey, the east and west has been helping, working for UC all game. Try to see if he can go on Miami. He got leveled pretty hard.
So it's going to bring up another 3rd and 9 for the RedHawks, trying to pick up the sticks at the 5-minute mark. So Ragland's going to look to the sideline. Call to check to his offensive line. He's going to drop back. He's got some time. Step up in the pocket. He's going to just launch it away out of bounds, and that's going to bring up a 4th down for the RedHawks as he took a pretty big hit in the backfield. And Ragland's looking to the sideline looking for maybe a flag, but he's not going to get it as we've had a pretty clean game here with minimal penalties for both teams. So that's going to bring out Kyle Kramer and the punting unit. And Cody, you were looking at some of the stats around the nation for the RedHawks, and you found a little interesting tidbit about the RedHawks special teams.
Yeah, so it looks like this year Kyle Kramer at 47.8 yards per punt is 8th in the nation so far, which is something really to be proud of if you're, you know, a Miami RedHawk, that we can actually stop the other team from starting to get good field position, you know, if we can't, you know, get our offense going, which is something that seems to be a little bit of a struggle tonight here for Miami, getting our offense going anywhere at all during this game.
Absolutely, as that punt is another good punt for Kramer, and that's going to be down at the 19-yard line of the Bearcats, so that's where they're going to pick it up. But yeah, it's a game of inches. Everybody says, you always hear that football's a game of inches, and you got to get every inch you can take, and Kyle Kramer and the special teams unit for the RedHawks have provided that, but haven't been able to move the ball on offense. And something we haven't really talked about, and something we haven't really seen from the RedHawk defense, we haven't seen anything that would dictate a turnover for the defense, and that would be huge for the morale of the team here, as it's a pretty big stalemate as Cincinnati has slowed down a little bit on offense. The RedHawks defense has picked up a little bit, as we saw last week against Marshall. So 7-0 here at the 4:41 mark here at Paul Brown Stadium in downtown Cincinnati. A beautiful skyline here as we see the skyscrapers here in downtown Cincinnati, the PNC Bank and US Bank, all the bank buildings. So,
concern for me though, with Miami, especially since we don't see them really getting in rhythm or anything, is really not getting that run game in focus. Especially with this rain. I mean, Gus has tried to throw the ball downfield, but none of them have been accurate. All of them have been kind of going out towards the sidelines. And that's not to say that he was throwing it inaccurately. A lot of them sometimes look like they were throwaways. But in a game like this, you really got to establish the run game and not ignore it early. I mean, we've seen some short passes. Sometimes when you get a short pass to the running back, it's not going to necessarily be in the rushing column, but is, you know, basically a rush. And that's really what Cincinnati's been doing. We haven't seen them really throw the ball and been real successful through it. Besides that, I mean, it's the run game. Their run game is through Riddler, their QB. I mean, Gus has had, I think, about 4 rushes as well, not as many rushing yards as him, but something to kind of focus on as this half kind of comes to a close soon.
Yeah, and looking at the stats, something surprising is Miami actually is winning the time of possession here tonight, 13 minutes to Cincinnati's 12. So that's a little bit surprising given the success that the Bearcats have had on the field and rushing yards, as Ritter is going to come out as quarterback again for the Bearcats, as he's flanked by his running back Michael Warren II. Rain continuing the fall here down on both of these football teams and fans here at Paul Brown. So Ritter's going to take the snap, fake the handoff, is actually going to give the handoff off to Warren. He's going to get out to about the 25-yard line, so pretty big chunk of 6 yards to bring up 2nd and 4 for the Bearcats as the clock continues to tick down inside the 4:20 mark of this first half. Ritter's going to hand it off. Nope, he's going to fake, and the ball's on the ground, picked up by the RedHawks. It's batted away. It's going to be picked up. Looks to be a scrum down on the field inside the 10-yard line. The RedHawks looked like they sure had it as they had 5 guys around the football, and it looks like the Bearcats end up recovering the football, but ball was on the ground and slippery as you could possibly get, just trying to pick up a greased up watermelon at a birthday party there for the RedHawks, but unable to come up with the ball. So what we talked about at the break, the RedHawks not be able to come up with the possession and a golden opportunity there to pick up the ball inside the red zone and hand it off right to your offense, but missed opportunity there for the RedHawks. But that's going to bring up a 3rd and 20, so looking to get off the field, but with about inside the 3:30 mark as Ritter's going to tuck it and run, and he's going to go down as a tackle is going to be made by the defensive lineman Doug Costin for the RedHawks as he
Money Manziel
motions to the Miami student section and gives a Tiger Woods fist pump and heads to the sideline. So that's going to bring out the punting unit for both. You're going to have the dangerous Kenny Young sitting at midfield looking to return this punt, and Cincinnati is going to punt it away from their own end zone. Cole Smith is going to stand inside the black and orange striped Bengals end zone as he's going to take the snap, punt it away. It looks to be a pretty good punt as Young's going to move back, field it. He's going to have a little bit of room trying to get the corner. He's got the corner as flags in the play. Young gets down to about the 35-yard line. It looked to be a late hit there as he wrapped him out inside the bench of the RedHawks, but looks like this is going to come back here as flag was flying as soon as a block was made by the RedHawks to free up Young, and it looks to be in the vicinity of where you would call a legal block in the back, and that's exactly what it's going to be, as that's going to back up the RedHawks into their own territory as they were looking forward to the good return by Kenny Young and kind of a bonehead penalty there because it looked like Kenny Young was about to break that tackle and get out of the way of those gunners without the block in the back. So squandered opportunities here for the RedHawks in the last couple plays.
And we didn't get the turnover that you were wanting and desiring. But back-to-back possessions where the defense, really played well. Are we going to see, the offense kind of get that sense of momentum? I know they weren't on that side of the field, but kind of see that gift that they were kind of given to them.
As we're going to get a fumble on the field from the RedHawks, they don't know what they're doing exactly, as there was a handoff to Kenny Young, and he looked like he fumbled it a little bit, put it on the ground, but the RedHawks fortunately come up with it with Alonzo Smith falling on it at the end. So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 14 for the RedHawks. And I mean, not only do I want the turnover, I'm sure Cody does, I'm sure Hunt, you do, and I'm sure everybody in the fans wearing the Miami red and white want a turnover, and not what you just saw there, a turnover for the Bearcats.
Yep.
Possibly just saw there.
Yeah.
Very close. So the ball is very slippery as the rain continues to fall. A little bit harder this time as Alonzo Smith's going to get the handoff and try to get out. And he's going to pick up maybe about a yard, and that's going to bring up another 3rd and long for the RedHawks as the clock is going to tick inside the 11:45 mark of this second quarter as the RedHawks time is ticking, and if they want to make a drive here, they're going to have to pick up this first down, and they're going to have to do it quick.
Part of me is concerned if they want to or not.
Yeah, as stale as this first half has been, the RedHawks, I'm sure, will be happy to go into halftime only down by 1 possession. So Ragland's going to have a couple weapons to his right. He's going to drop back, throwing. He's got James Gardner over the middle of the field. Gardner's looking, trying to cut back, and he's going to be just short, about 4 yards short of the first down marker, and that clock's continuing to tick inside the minute mark down to 55 seconds, 54 seconds, 53 seconds. And that's going to bring on, it looks to be the punting unit for Miami. as they're trying to run the clock down, and they might just keep the offense and try to kill the clock here. They're probably just going to take their remaining timeout here for Coach Martin and talk it over and see what they can do, as you might get a heave or something, but doesn't look very likely, as it's going to leave about 21 seconds on the clock as Coach Martin's going to signal for a timeout as the clock ticks down to 20 seconds, and that's going to be all we're left with this first half of play, as the Bearcats got to be happy with their showing here already from their quarterback Ritter, as he has had a very good game with 93 yards on the ground, and not much passing from either teams, as Ritter's only had 4 attempts and he's completed 3 of those, but only for a measly 34 yards. So a lot of the offense for the Bearcats coming on the ground from Ritter and Warren.
And I just feel like it's a tale of kind of 2 different sides of the football. If I'm the Miami RedHawks defense, I don't think I'm that disappointed with this first half. I know you said Ritter was 3 for 4, but that last drive where we saw that possible fumble, I think they're kind of possibly getting in his head a little bit.
So that ball's going to be punted away and down by the RedHawks at the 1-yard line. So unfortunately, the RedHawks don't have any timeouts, so they would be able to force Cincinnati to run some plays, but it's going to be tough for them to kneel the ball down there at the 1-yard line, so they're going to have to run at least one more play from scrimmage, and it's going to have to be a run. So maybe the RedHawks can come up with a possible safety here if they get some penetration in the backfield. So you got to believe that the defensive line of Andrew Sharp, Nate Treywick, Doug Costin, and Quinn Calcagno are going to be chomping at the bit to get in the backfield and try to wrap up either Ritter or Warren and get a much-needed 2 points for the RedHawks.
Yeah, 2 points. That cuts in.
And a kick to the dangerous returners of Bester and Kenny Young. So it's going to be snapped. It's going to be a QB sneak, and nothing's really going to be doing either way, as he might have picked up 1 yard. So that's going to take us into halftime here at Paul Brown Stadium as the rain continues to fall, and both teams are going to head to the locker room and dry off a little bit here on this wet evening here in downtown Cincinnati. So not to start the RedHawks really wanted. Any closing thoughts here as we close out this first half from Paul Brown Stadium from you guys?
Closing thoughts for me. Like I said earlier, I don't think the defense has anything to hang their heads on. Obviously, UC got that scoring drive. But from that last defensive possession before this last one, that possible fumble they had was when they saw Ritter kind of scramble and kind of feel uncomfortable in that pocket. So I feel like if they can keep that intensity up, you got to just hope that one of these times the offense, if they're set up in a good position, they'll be able to kind of strike gold and win in this battle for the victory bell.
Yeah, I see that right there too, Hans. And you know what? You gotta expect that Miami's happy coming out of the first half, only down 7. With the way the game started, the intensity was all on UC's side. Now we got Miami back in it right now, only down a score. Still very early young game right now, going into half. And I just feel like once Ragland can start connecting with his wide receivers and Young can get the ball moving down the field and we score, we just got to get the momentum to swing our way, and I think that'll happen sooner or later.
Absolutely. I would very much agree that the RedHawks cannot be too unhappy with that first half, as they are only down 1 possession, and given how poorly they played on defense and being able to really not move the ball at all on offense, to be down 7 points, you got to attribute the game to this weather and the type of the environment that both of these teams are in, as virtually really impossible to throw the ball more than 10, 15 yards here. So we'll see if the weather will light up. Probably will not light up, but both teams are going to head to the locker room and talk it over, and we'll be right back after this quick halftime break. 7-0 here as the Cincinnati Bearcats are leading the crosstown rivals, Miami RedHawks. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio.
My time spent there, it only made me sing. And I don't ever wanna be like you. I don't wanna do the things you do. I'm never gonna hear the words you say. And I don't ever wanna be you. Don't wanna be just like you. All what I'm saying is this is the anthem for all yeah.
Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium for this second half between the Miami RedHawks and the Cincinnati Bearcats. I'm Kenny Schierlinger. To my right is Hans, Juste, and Cody Shagovac as we're going to get ready to kick off this second half. Like we said, Miami got the ball first to start the game as Cincinnati deferred, so they will go on offense first coming up here as they already have the 7-zip lead on the RedHawks. So very wet, windy, kind of stale, if you will, first half for both teams.
No, I agree. Even though it was a stale first half, part of me is feeling pretty optimistic. I'm just ready for the second half to start. But what's staggering looking at these first half stats, Juste Ragland threw 19 passes. He had 19 attempts and completed 64 yards, and his long one was 21. So if you minus that 21, he has 18. He's thrown 18 passes, for about 43 yards. So it's really showing how they just really have not gotten any of the running game going, and how the discrepancy between the two. Obviously, we made a lot of hoopla about Ritter and the 95 yards he's had rushing alone.
Absolutely, as the special teams unit will take the field for the RedHawks as Sam Sloman will kick it off here at Paul Brown Stadium for the second half for the 123rd meeting between both of these teams. Like we said earlier, the longest active non-conference rivalry in college football. So a lot at stake here. The battle for the victory bell, as the victory bell used to hang in the bell tower in Harrison Hall, but that went down and they decided to make it the trophy. But like we were talking before the game, and everybody knows in Oxford that the victory bell has been south of Oxford for quite some time. The last coach to put it in perspective, the last coach, the coach of Cincinnati and the RedHawks beat them, was Mark D'Antonio, who has been at Michigan State for quite some time, has won a couple Big Ten championships. So to put it in perspective and a time frame, the RedHawks have not held the victory bell in quite some time. So,
yeah, and that date you're pushing back was in 2005. But that is quite some perspective, because I think I was in 3rd grade. So, and all the success we've heard with D'Antonio in Michigan State, which I don't care too much for. I know you're a big fan of that, though.
As that kickoff is nicely returned by the Bearcats, and they're going to take over on offense at the 33-yard line, rather. 1st and 10 for the Bearcats quarterback, Ritter. Ritter's going to hand it off to Warren, who's going to shake and get out to about the numbers, but get tackled down just past the 35-yard line at about the 37. That's going to bring up a 2nd and 6 as we tick down inside the 4:30 mark here at Paul Brown Stadium. And a name that we haven't called much, Junior McMullen, the real quarterback of this defense, who has not really gotten involved so far here for the RedHawks.
Definitely hoping he can make a change of that in this second half.
As Ryder is going to roll out, get it out to his tight end, incomplete. He was looking for his favorite tight end, DeGuaro, the junior from Folsom, California, and that pass is going to be incomplete and bring up a 3rd and 6 at Cincinnati's own 37-yard line.
And I feel like the few times we have seen Riddler kind of scramble out to make a pass, we haven't seen him be as productive. So I feel if Miami can keep the pressure on him and feel a little bit nervous in the pocket, leads to success.
As the 3rd down snap's going to go to Ritter, and he's going to get a bubble screen out and get it complete, but that's going to bring up 4th down as Miami wrapped that up pretty quick. On the tackle there is Darius Thompson for the RedHawks. So the RedHawks get off the field and stop the Bearcats right out the bat and will receive the ball. So no harm, no foul here as the Bearcats receive the ball coming out of halftime, and Kenny Young will take the ball back for Coach Martin and company as we get a dead ball whistle here And it looks to be a delayed snap on the Bearcats, and that will add a couple more yards to this punt for punter James Smith, the sophomore from Australia, the Aussie, as he's going to kick it away to Kenny Young. It's going to be a good high kick to Young as he's going to take the fair catch at about the 22-yard line. So that's where Gus Ragland and his offense are looking to get on the board here when we come right back at Paul Brown Stadium. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as we had a quick break. Gus Ragland's going to drop back, throw it deep to Gardner. It's going to be complete and caught as he got his foot down inside the 50-yard line there, as the RedHawks are back right in business as they're already driving, as the long pass to the always reliable James Gardner as Ragland and Gardner link up. So that's going to make about 1st and 10 at Miami's own 46-yard line, knocking at the door at the Bearcats on the Bearcat territory here. Ragland's going to hand it off to Maurice Thomas, who's going to get out and pick up a good amount of yards and get about 7 on the play.
And early in the second half, but we're starting to see a little bit of life for our RedHawks. It's crazy what a half can do. It is late. It's almost 10 o'clock here, so they've had a long day, the rain as well. So seeing some upbeat spirits here, you know, can change a lot.
Absolutely, as this 2nd and 2 will be halted by a signal by the RedHawks, as Ragland's going to take a check at the line. He's got Gardner to his left. He's throwing, looking for Gardner. It's going to be broken up by the defensive back for the Bearcats, Tyrell Gilbert, with the pass breakup, who's really done a very good job on James Gardner tonight.
And that was a very scary throw over there. I referenced earlier, DBs are DBs because they can't catch. That was definitely another scenario where we could have easily seen a possible turnover and interception.
So 2nd and 2 for the RedHawks. They're going to come up with a little bit more bunched up formation than usual with Smith behind. Ragland's going to be a fake bootleg handoff to, and it's going to be a 1st down to Nate Becker, as he had a bootleg, a very good fake there. It kind of faked me out for a second to Smith, and Ragland easy pitch and catch to Nate Becker for the 1st down, as Miami has gotten into Cincinnati Bearcat territory.
And with the rain still flowing down, we've seen, 2 very successful passing plays.
As Ragland's going to drop back, he's looking, going to roll out to his right, looking for Gardner. He's got him for the first. Oh, looked like he had him for a second, but the ball was knocked away right at the last second. And again, on the pass breakup is Tyrell Gilbert, who's, like we said, doing a great job against the dangerous Gardner, as it looked like he had him open, and it looked like a little pushing and shoving there. Gardner looked like he had the best of them there. Pretty big no call there for Gardner, as it looked like it could have been an offensive pass interference there. Gus is going to have a man in motion. He's going to hand it off up the middle to Jalen Bester, who's going to get out to just about the 1st down marker, and it's going to probably bring up about a 3rd and 1 as the clock continues to tick inside the 11:20 mark of the 3rd quarter, rather.
And third down very crucial as we've seen them kind of march down the field so far.
It's going to be a handoff again to Bester, and it looks like he's going to push out and get a couple more yards plus the first down. So it's going to bring up a fresh set of downs for the RedHawks and Gus Ragland as they're going to go hurry up offense and try to keep the momentum going. Gardner to Gus's far right. He's going to fake the toss. He's going to go for Gardner in the corner. He's going to go up, and it's going to be incomplete as Gardner was overthrown a little bit there by Gus Ragland as he was looking for his favorite target. And once you start getting close into this red zone area for the RedHawks, you always got to look for the back corner fade as the coach Martin loves to run that with his favorite wide receiver, James Gardner.
Man, it seems that the RedHawks have no reservation to go big, even with their lack of success so far in this game and with this inclement weather.
As Gardner's going to take a breather on the sidelines. Ragland's going to drop back. He's looking, throwing. He's got his man, Gardner. No, it's going to be incomplete. And it wasn't Gardner on that catch. It looked to be, or incomplete pass. Jalen Walker on the incomplete pass there as he had his man at about the 2-yard line, but overthrew him just a little bit. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and 10 for the RedHawks as this is the first drive they've really kind of been knocking on the door so far. So let's see what they can do here as Gardner has entered the game once again. He's got Kenny Young in his slot. They're all going to look to the sideline. He's got the dangerous and speedy Sorensen to his far left. Gus is going to look back, throwing. It's going to be almost picked off as he was looking for Gardner, but there's flags in the field, so we're going to see what's going to be the call here. Could be a holding, and it looks like they're going to call offensive pass interference on the RedHawks.
Ooh.
As Gardner really got the best of the secondary of Cincinnati there.
Really leveled him. That's why he has that great size, a 6'4" and 217. Really can push down a cornerback or a DB fairly easily.
So now that's going to bring up another 3rd down as Luke Fickle and the Cincinnati Bearcats are going to accept that penalty. That's going to back the RedHawks all the way back to about their own, to the Bearcats 42-yard line. It's going to be a 3rd and 25 for Ragland.
And a penalty like that is very costly. It puts you in a probable field goal situation to now you got to move up to even be in that range.
So Ragland's going to drop back, get a screen pass out to Kenny Young. He's got a little bit of space. He's going to get out to about the 35-yard line, so a little bit more manageable of a possible field goal as you have the wind going in your direction. We're going to see what Coach Chuck Martin's going to decide, and it looks like they're going to trot out the punting unit and try to pin back the Bearcat offense deep into their own territory.
Yeah, not too surprised the punting unit has come out in this situation, especially with the weather that is coming down right now. A 50-yard field goal attempt is not necessarily in your best interest.
So Alden Knight's going to put his heels at the 10-yard line. The punt's going to be high and in the corner for Kramer and bounce right into the end zone. So that's going to be a touchback. So that's where the Bearcats will pick it up at the 25-yard line here.
And it kind of gives a sick kind of feeling in your stomach for these RedHawks after they march on the field all the way. The defense had put all that effort in, and you still come out with nothing.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break with 9:47 to go in the 3rd quarter. The RedHawks are down 7-0 against the crosstown rival Cincinnati Bearcats. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to downtown Cincinnati as the Cincinnati Bearcats are taking on the Miami RedHawks as the Bearcats are going to take over again on offense at their own 20-yard line. Coach Luke Fickle looking to get some more points on the board as we've only had one touchdown on the day for both teams. It's going to be a run up the middle to Mike Warren for the Bearcats. Gain of about 2 on the play.
Yeah, and right now I'm seeing myself just a little upset right now that Jalen Walker just couldn't make that catch in the end zone. Went right through his hand, and you know you got to make big-time plays in big-time stadiums here at Paul Brown Stadium.
And I agree with you, and I just feel like it just kind of puts the defense in a tough situation where they really stopped him, and now, you know, they got to stop him again. But we'll see what these RedHawks got today.
Nicely put there, Cody, as you do have to make those big-time plays, especially in the big-time games and the big-time stadiums. Absolutely.
And Gus was going a lot to Gardner in that last drive, and there's a big height discrepancy. I mean, Gardner, you got at 6'4", then you got Walker at 5'7", so maybe having a shorter window kind of threw him off in that situation.
As Ritter's going to keep it and tuck it down to about a yard short of the first down marker, so it's going to bring up about a 3rd and 2 here for the Bearcats. It's going to be a snap out to Warren. Oh, it's going to be a direct snap. And it looks like it's going to be short out for Ritter there. And that's going to bring up another 4th down for the Bearcats in Miami, looking to get the ball back again as Kenny Young trots out as both punting units, special team units are going to take the field once again.
And just watching this, I mean, you might even make the argument that Miami defense is outplaying UC's defense. I mean, Miami's had a few opportunities where they marched down the field, they just haven't executed. So it's kind of difficult situation we're watching right now.
And the punt is away, fair caught at about the 22-yard line by Kenny Young, so that's where the Miami offense will pick up.
I think right now Miami's offense really needs to play off of what their defense have been doing in the second half. You know, this energy right now coming off of this Miami defense, getting these 3 and out. This offense needs to pick up and get some energy going, and let's make this drive right here a scoring opportunity.
And also just to liven up the crowd, I mean, we don't have a ton of people here represented today on this wet day, but, I mean, you saw UC probably had 3 or 4 times the people represented in Miami and starting to even out here, so a lot of the fans are getting a little bit disinterested and maybe bring some life here as we still have some stragglers trying to enjoy some football this evening.
Yeah, the dedicated fans are here right now.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. You guys are listening to Red Hawk Radio.
Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as the Miami RedHawks are taking on the Cincinnati Bearcats as they're battling it out for the ever so important victory bell. Gus Ragland and his offense have taken the field once again in this third quarter with 7:56 to go, down 7-0 as they've been trailing the whole game as Cincinnati came out right away and punched it in for the score. But that's the only action we've really gotten so far from both teams, exactly. But it really feels like an even game ever since that touchdown. It's really felt like both teams have kind of pushed a little bit both ways, but very even set game here so far on this rainy night, as it has not let up
Very rainy.
one bit.
And I agree. I mean, that touchdown, what you see, happened on their second drive of the game. So it's been a lot of just kind of boring drives and a lot of waning plays.
Absolutely. As Gus Ragland's going to drop back, he's going to gut his man complete out to Luke Mayock. He looked like he made the catch and looks like he went down, and the ball was knocked loose after that, so they're going to give him the reception.
And interesting play with Miami. We've mentioned the weather a bunch, maybe overstated a little bit, but it seems like Miami's gameplay of maybe even trying to run has been abandoned. I mean, we saw that drive earlier. I'm pretty sure they went three passes in a row till they hit that fourth down. So a lot of it is just a lot of trust in Gus Ragland.
That's going to bring up a 3rd and 3 for the Miami offense as they're going to spread it out. Ragland's going to drop back, looking, throwing. He's got his man, Kenny Young, out in the flat. He's going to get out to about the 45-yard line. So very good pickup there as Kenny Young was breaking to the sideline, was wide open. Gus Ragland stepped back, had some time, and hit him right in the numbers. So first down for the RedHawks as they're back in business as the clock ticks down inside the 6:20 mark in this third quarter as the rain continues to fall here in downtown Cincinnati on the banks of the Ohio River.
The banks of the Ohio River. I like
that.
I like the emphasis you put on that.
So that's going to be handoff to Smith right up the middle. He's going to get out for a couple of yards there. So that's going to bring up about a 2nd and 8 for Miami's offense as Andrew Homer's going to enter the game. Coming out is Nate Becker.
And even though the run goes down for a gain of 3 yards, I feel like those nickels and dimes are really what you're going to need in this game, and it's going to really possibly open up the field. I don't want them to completely abandon the run game as we've seen so far in this game. And then we get a direct snap with Gus as he seems to pick up a couple yards.
So that's going to bring up about 3rd and 4 for the RedHawks as the clock is going to get down to about the 5-minute mark as that clock continues to tick.
And then just with that, I mean, they had 2 straight rushing plays, get a pickup of 6, puts you in a shorter yard situation when you're in 3rd down. If you kind of pass and get an incompletion, you might be looking at a 3rd and 9 and a 3rd and 10, but a more manageable 3rd and 5.
So Ragland's going to have Kenny Young in the backfield. UC's only going to bring 4. Ragland's looking, throwing. He's going deep to Luke Mayock. He's going to be a jump ball. Incomplete. A lot of pushing and shoving there as the RedHawks sideline thought there was a little bit too much contact there, but that's going to bring up a 4th and 5 for the RedHawks. So that drive is going to stall out once again, and Kyle Kramer and the very good punting unit for Miami is going to kick it away once again as both teams really have nothing doing, moving the ball just a little bit here on offense for the RedHawks, but both teams haven't done much here as this third quarter is almost over here with 4:48 to go. A very quick moving third quarter here as that kick is low and fielded and is going to be taken down by Darius Thompson at the 15-yard line. So very good coverage there from the Miami special teams unit. And Hans, I'm sure you could hear that hit all the way from up here.
I feel like I could hear it and feel it. Man, he's going to wake up with a crink in his neck. That was a decision where he should have definitely decided fair catch.
Yeah, and that's Darius Thompson's second big hit of the night, the nickelback from Powder Springs, Georgia, for the RedHawks. So that's going to bring us to the 4:40 mark in the third quarter. Miami trails Cincinnati 7-0. We'll be right back. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium. As a little bit more electricity in this stadium, you can feel it a little bit more as this game seems to be a lot. I mean, it seems like Cincinnati's been up like 21 points the whole game, but now it seems like it's about even. So that's where we're at now. Is we're at the 4:40 mark. Cincinnati's going to take the ball back as both teams haven't been able to do anything in this third quarter. As Ritter's going to take the snap, he's going to hand it off to his man, Mike Warren, who's going to get out for a good gain for about 15 yards, get out to about their own 30-yard line. So that's where Cincinnati is going to hurry up a little bit here, a little bit more sense of urgency.
We don't want to see that be a spark plug for them because, honestly, that's the first big play they've had in a while. It's been a lot of dominance from the RedHawks, so with that hurry up, you don't want to just get in a flow of letting them get these big yardage situations.
It's going to be another handoff to Warren, this time down to the corner, and he's going to get tackled at about the 35-yard line as a little bit of pushing and shoving there after the play there. But like we said before, early in this game, that it would be big to contain Mike Warren, and the RedHawks have really done that as he only has about 50 yards from scrimmage on 14 attempts, but haven't been able to contain Ritter at all with 102 yards for 14 attempts and 6.1 yards per carry. Like, that's about all you can ask for if you're Coach Luke Fickell, especially in this weather. So Ritter's going to tuck it and run. He's going to scramble, and he's going to get taken down at about the 42-yard or the 38-yard line rather, and it's going to bring up a 3rd and short for the Bearcats.
And I mean, you talking about Riddler earlier. He's really just been their running back #1 in this game. I think that's what's really been keeping them in with all the gains he's been able to do.
So Ritter is going to make a check at the line, maybe get a pass here as they look to be spreading it out a little bit. Ritter's going to take the snap. He's going to hand it off right up the middle, and it looks like they pick up the first down. So Cincinnati gets just enough of penetration to pick up the first down there. It's going to reset the downs for a fresh sticks for Cincinnati at the 42-yard line. So 1st and 10.
So, speaking of Michael Warren, the second, why is he a second and not a junior? Something to ponder today.
I feel like it's a personal preference if you'd rather be called a junior or a second. Or maybe he has a 3rd somewhere we don't know about.
Ooh.
Maybe. I mean, the 3rd sounds a little bit like more prestigious, more like royal. I don't know.
And sometimes I feel like when you hear a junior,
Regal.
Yeah, I would give it regal. I just feel like a junior sometimes you age it. Like you're like, all right, I'm not a junior no more. I'm my own man. I'm a second.
I like your take, Hans.
Yeah, I should have been a junior, but I'm not. I like my name though.
So that's going to bring up a 2nd and 6 for the Bearcats as this clock is continuing to tick inside the 1:40 mark here in the 3rd quarter. Miami trailing the Bearcats 7-0. It's going to be a keeper by Ritter, and he's going to get tackled by a whole bunch of RedHawks at about the 45-yard line. So nothing really doing there. It's going to bring up another 3rd down for Cincinnati. Quinn Calcagno again on the tackle, who's had a pretty good night, making some open field tackles out there as a defensive end.
And you see in another 3rd and shortage situation, so we'll see if the defense is able to get a nice stop on this play.
2 motion men shifting from left to right. Now he's going to go back to the right and back to the left. Lots of movement here. Ritter's going to drop back and throw. He's looking, throwing. He's got his man complete out to his tight end. To Josiah DeGuerra, and that's going to bring up another 1st down for the Bearcats as the RedHawks really kind of bottled that up, but was right there to make the tackle. Again, is Brad Koenig, the senior from Ann Arbor, Michigan. So it's going to bring up another fresh set of downs for the Bearcats, as Ritter's going to hand it off once again to Mike Warren, and a flag's going to come in at the line of scrimmage. So we'll see what we get here. You could really get anything here. Could be illegal, hands to the face, or could be a holding, could be really anything here. So we'll sit and wait and see what the call is. That penalty is going to go against the Bearcats and back them up just a little bit back into their own territory. Ball's going to be placed at the 47-yard line, so that's where they're going to pick up their first down. And that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter here at Paul Brown Stadium as the Miami RedHawks trail Cincinnati 7-0. So Miami looking to get a stop and get on the board finally here late into this game as the rain continues to fall. We're going to be right back with you. Thank you for listening to Red Hawk Radio. We'll be right back for this fourth quarter. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium here at the rainy setting here for the fourth quarter of the Battle of the Victory Bell for the Miami RedHawks and the Cincinnati Cincinnati Bearcats, rather. Looking for a little bit of a turnover, some action here, as this second half has not had much action at all. So looking to see something's got to give here for both teams. So that's why I'm calling a little bit for the turnover. We saw Captain America in the stand somewhere. So like hopefully Captain Turnover can come.
Yeah, maybe he can be like our turnover chain. You know, Miami, the fake Miami got the turnover chain. Maybe we got a Captain Turnover here.
What do you think about that, Cody? You like the turnover, Captain Turnover?
Oh, yeah. I think right here we got number 91, big defensive end here for Miami. I think he's going to get in there and just hit the quarterback right in the gut, and we're going to turn the ball over, and we're going to get some offense going for us right now.
And 91 right there is a defensive end, Andrew Sharp out of Grosse Pointe, Michigan, the sophomore. Very big dude, and he continues to hit the weight room and continue to grow. Very good guy, very intelligent, and getting the start tonight here at Paul Brown, as that snap is going to go to Mike Warren, and Warren's going to get out to about the 46-yard line. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 17. So Cincinnati really hurting after that big penalty as they look like they're driving. So let's see if the RedHawks can get off the field here and get that ball back to their offense. Ritter's going to shift Warren to his right. He's going to hand it off to Warren, and nothing's going to be doing there as a whole lot of red jerseys around there containing Warren at the line of scrimmage. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and about a mile for the Bearcats. So let's see if they're going to go with Ritter or they're going to come and bring in Hayden Moore, the passing quarterback for the Bearcats, as Miami's going to substitute on defense. Ritter's going to drop back. He's going to air it out deep, and it looks like it's going to sail way out of bounds here. And that's going to bring up a 4th down for the Bearcats. No flags on the field. And it looks like the Bearcats will punt it away to Kenny Young, who's going to jog on back there to see if we can get a return from him. Kenny Young did have a little bit of return, but it was negated by a block in the back. So let's see if he can possibly get into open space and get upfield and put the RedHawks in some good field position. But that's going to be a little tough for Young, who's standing inside his 10-yard line. So the punt's going to be up and away. And Young's going to call for a fair catch at the 10 and bobble it, and it's going to go out of bounds. So safely out of bounds for the RedHawks there, as if I was Kenny Young, I would not even try to attempt that, as he had to go from one side of the numbers to the other side of the numbers to field that. And that's going right into the rain. You're looking up into a whole bunch of rain here, a whole bunch of wind, very slippery ball, very slippery field. I mean, everybody's just completely soaked out there, so very risky. And fortunate for the RedHawks to have that ball bounce out of bounds, as that's where the RedHawks will take it over as Gus Ragland leads his offense onto the field. Kenny Young's going to stay on the field as he's going to line up in the slot. Gus Ragland's going to have Alonzo Smith to his left. To his left out wide is James Gardner. And to his right is Jack Sorensen. He's going to go for Sorensen, and he's got it. It's going to be tipped up and intercepted by Cincinnati. It's going to be taken down to about the 1-yard line, and that's where Cincinnati's going to pick it up, as that ball was batted away and tipped up by a couple Cincinnati players and never hit the ground and was picked off by the Bearcats secondary. So not what you're looking there, and there's your turnover, but for the wrong team on our side here. So that interception looked to be picked up by Derek Forrest, the safety from Columbus, Ohio. Comes up with the big turnover after that is picked up by and batted away by a lot of Bearcats. So nice return there as he had a convoy of blockers and gets almost into the end zone. It looked like he was going to spin in the end zone, but the RedHawks offense kept him from falling into that black and orange red zone.
But that is not the break the RedHawks wanted at all. I mean, I stated earlier that we've seen a lot of passes through the RedHawks, and just with this rain, it can be slippery, and it didn't look like he had a nice grip on that ball after he threw it.
Yeah, and it did hit. It hit Sorensen right in the numbers, and it just unable to come up with it, but maybe surprise him a little bit. So the direct snap is going to go to Warren. Warren's going to go right up the middle, and he looks like he's going to get in for the touchdown. So touchdown Bearcats, as they're going to punch it in for the second time tonight, second time in a while. So pending the PAT, it will be 14-0 Cincinnati Bearcats on top of the Miami RedHawks. So the PAT unit for Cincinnati is going to come out and try to push this lead out to 14-0. So not exactly what you wanted for the RedHawks, as Gus Ragland throws a tipped interception to Cincinnati safety Derek Forrest.
I mean, it's not a terrible situation for the RedHawks. You have to know that you have a full quarter basically to play, but the difficult thing is right when you have an interception like that, you got to go right back on the field, you know, just a couple plays later. So you got to learn to ignore that and to keep moving forward. So we'll see if we're going to see a conservative Gus Ragland or conservative offense when they take the field again.
So that PAT is up and good for Cole Smith, the freshman from Middletown, Ohio. So that's going to bring us to the 13-18 mark of the fourth quarter here at Paul Brown Stadium, as the Miami RedHawks are trailing the Cincinnati Bearcats 14-0. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as the Cincinnati Bearcats have pushed their lead out to 14-0 against the Miami RedHawks as they will kick it away to the Miami RedHawks. On the return is Jalen Bester. He's going to work his way inside the numbers to about the 24-yard line for the RedHawks. So that's where Gus Ragland is going to need a much-needed scoring drive here. As a lot of time, like you said, Hans, a lot of time on the clock here in the fourth quarter, lots of time to come back and get some points on the board, but you got to do it now. You got to at least flip the field position here if you're the RedHawks.
I definitely agree with that, and I just don't want to see a nervous or a pressured Gus Ragland. He's been in this situation before, you know, and just act like it and own it.
So Ragland's going to have Young to his left. He's going to drop back and pass. It's going to be complete out to James Gardner at the first down marker, and that's going to bring up another first down for the RedHawks. So pretty good start for for Gus Ragland as he dropped back, made a tough throw, feeling a little bit of pressure, gets it out to James Gardner as the Miami RedHawks are going to go no huddle, looking to the sideline for the call. Jack Sorensen in the slot, Luke Mayock out right, wide right, and Gardner to the left as Kenny Young's going to get the call and slip out and almost pick up another first down for the RedHawks as he gets out for a gain about 8 yards. So Miami moving the ball so far here, going no huddle, trying to hurry up a little bit, sense of urgency as the clock ticks down to the 12:30 mark here in the fourth quarter at rainy Paul Brown Stadium as this rain is unbelievable, has not let up at all. Maybe let up for a couple minutes, but did not stop. It's just been coming down absolutely. So this field is looking pretty good as an end around reverse, and they're going to get out to Kenny Young, who's going to catch it, and looks like they're going to lose a couple yards on that play as there was a double reverse there in the backfield as Ragland ended up with the ball once again, threw it out to Kenny Young, and almost want to ask him to drop that pass as that's going to bring up a 3rd and 5 for Miami's 39.
I appreciate Chuck Martin trying to run things over and switch it up a little bit, but sense of urgency is as we needed. We need to score right now.
Absolutely, and a very risky play there, especially with the conditions on the field down there. So that's going to bring up a 3rd and 5. Ragland's going to bring James Gardner from right to left in the formation. He's got 3 wideouts out to his left. They're going to get Gardner out to the flat, and Ragland's going to feel the pressure and get tackled and throw it right out of bounds. So that's going to bring up a 4th and 5 for the RedHawks, and the punting unit is going to trot out once again. So not what you want to see if you're Coach Chuck Martin there. So that's going to bring out Kyle Kramer, who has gotten a lot of time tonight punting it away for the RedHawks.
A lot of it. He's done pretty well, though, as we stated with that top 10 ranking.
So Kramer's going to punt it away to Knight, who's sitting deep in his own territory. It's not going to be a very good punt. It's going to bounce and take a Cincinnati bounce back towards the center of the field and be downed at about the 39-yard line of Cincinnati. So that's where we're going to pick up things when we come back. 14-0, Cincinnati on top. You're listening to Red Hawk Radio. Welcome back to Paul Brown Stadium as the Cincinnati Bearcats will take over on offense once again, trying to close out this game against the Miami RedHawks, as nothing has been doing for both teams until that interception by the safety Forrest from Cincinnati, as there's going to be a handoff off to Mike Warren as he's going to get out, pass a little bit past the line of scrimmage and pick up about a 1 yard on the game, on the game.
Kenny, you just really got to feel bad for Miami's defense. They've just been putting up all night, tackling, making one play after another, and they just get, housed by one interception and down 14-0. You can't really do much about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they've really put the defense through the ringer, and they've really stood the test here. As that it's going to be a tip ball, tipped away by Doug Costin there, as Ritter was dropping back the pass there, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and 8. So the Miami defense on the brink of forcing another 4th down and getting their offense the ball back, and that's all you really can ask for. And they've just been pushed up against the wall all night, and have done a very good job against this Cincinnati offense, who had pretty good success against a Pac-12 team in UCLA last weekend. So it's going to bring up a 3rd down, 10:34 left on the game clock here in the 4th quarter. Ritter's going to take back the snap. He's looking, throwing. He's looking for his man. Lots of battling out there. No flags on the play. And that's going to bring up another 4th down. So Cincinnati bench was looking for a flag, maybe a defensive pass interference there, but they really have not called any of that tonight. And you got to give it up to the officials tonight, as they've been very consistent and really haven't been a part of this game at all.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
I mean, the only calls they've really had was the ones that are delay games, and I haven't had a problem with any calls. And I don't know if you guys have had any problem with any calls at all either, as that punt's going to go away and roll down to about the 15-yard line, inside the 15-yard line of Miami. So a very good punt there from the Aussie James Smith, the sophomore, 6'5", 225. Pretty good punter, pretty big punter for Cincinnati.
That's a huge punter.
That's where Gus Ragland and his offense will pick up the sticks once again with 10:14 to go in the game. And we'll stay with you here through this break. And I don't know if you guys are feeling the sense of urgency, but I know I am here for the RedHawks, as it seems like they're going to have to get some points on the board of some point here on this drive.
I mean, I'm definitely feeling the sense of urgency. I just don't want them to just kind of give in. I mean, there's 10 minutes left in this game. I've just been a little concerned with the play calling, but I feel like they haven't had any chance to really establish a run. So a lot of it's been on Gus's hands, and that's why we saw that pick earlier. And just be a little bit more creative on offense and not to make it a little bit stale.
Yeah, I agree with you. And here's the thing. There's 10 minutes left right now. We get a couple good pass plays, get a scoring drive going. We're only down, 2 scores right now. Our defense been holding off all game. I feel like if we get a score, they'll, really rally on that energy, make a stop, and then it's our, anybody's game from there. But you just really got to drive down and score right here, or else the game's going to be too far out of reach with the time limit that we have.
Yeah. And it's kind of difficult what you said. They just got to get a score, but you know what? They got to do that again. Being down 14-0, it's not just let's get a score, let's get us all pumped up. No, you got to get a score. Then you got to have another defensive stop, and then you got to score again. And with not seeing much life in this offense so far in this game, that might be a tall task for the RedHawks.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. I hear you, but you know what? It's anybody's game today. It's Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's a cold one. And it'll be a fun turn of events if we can do something here. And I feel like Coach Chuck Martin really, really wants to emphasize to his offense the big passing plays right here. I think we're going to go out, make a good couple of passing plays because, if you've looked and watched tonight, as I know you viewers can't really see what we're seeing here, but Ragland has very much controlled the game on passing. Ritter out here, most of his plays have been going over his wide receiver's head, and he hasn't been able to establish himself throwing the ball. But I think Ragland's feeling comfortable in the pocket and making the good throws.
Absolutely. Couldn't put it any better myself, guys. So that was really what sums up tonight. And we're going to see if Miami can really get it going. And this would probably be the real last chance for Gus Ragland and company, as they could look to drive the ball down the field and get at least 3 on this drive. So Ragland's going to drop back and have no time at all, as he had the Cincinnati defense all over him right off the bat. That pass is batted away by 92 Curtis Brooks, the sophomore from Danville, Virginia, for Cincinnati, as he really got in there and that play had no chance whatsoever.
I feel like that might have been even the best outcome in that case. That case had like safety written over it, fumble, interception. So getting just an incompletion is safe on that one.
So 2nd and 10 for Ragland. He's looking for James Gardner. Gardner's going to go up for the pass. It's going to sail out of bounds, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 10. So the RedHawks backed up in their own territory in the shadow of their own goalpost. They're backed up 14-0 with 10:04 to go in this game, and a do-or-die 3rd down here for Coach Martin and the Miami RedHawks, as they really have to pick up this 3rd down.
And I mean, I know that we're saying that we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. It is college football, so, you know, with 10 minutes, it should be seen as a lot of time, but we just haven't seen a lot of effort out of this Miami team at all. So we're trying to, you know, see if we got a little bit of energy seeking in this in the stadium.
So Ragland's going to drop back. He's looking to his right. He's got his man, Jack Sorensen, deep down the field. He is caught by Jack Sorensen. Let's see if he got his feet down. The referees say he did not, but it's going to be very close, and we might get an official review here, as everybody's going to look out at the video board and see if he did get his feet down. So they're going to show the replay here. Oh, and he might have got that right foot down. I think they're going to get a review here and I hear the whistles right now. So this is going to be a very tight one here, and we got to look at it again, but I think this might be the case that if inconclusive evidence here, as that would have stand either way if the call would have stood either way, whatever it would have been on the field, because this is going to be a very tough call, as it looked like his right foot was definitely out of bounds, but what is in question is if that left foot dragged when he had it in his hands, and it looked like it was a clean catch, no bobble there, so as soon as it got in his general vicinity, he snagged it and secured it, and we're just going to see what the call is. So huge call here for
Not a
the
good
RedHawks.
angle on that.
Yeah, as they show another angle that's not very good here. So this one's going to probably show us a really good one. So I don't know what you guys think here. And it looks like it's going to be, that angle looked like it showed that he had the right foot down before he dragged that left foot. So that's probably going to bring up a 4th down for the RedHawks, unfortunately. But very good effort from Gus Ragland to Jack Sorensen, who had a very good game last weekend. But he's the one who ended up not being able to convert on that long pass from Ragland, and that ended up getting tipped up a couple times and returned to the 1-yard line and led to another touchdown for the Bearcats. So they're going to confirm that incomplete pass and bring up 4th down for the RedHawks. So Kyle Kramer, the man of the hour, will punt it away for the Miami RedHawks.
Yeah, the man of the hour. I mean, he's what's kept their offense pinned back pretty far.
So Kramer's going to stand at the bottom of the A in Bengals in the orange stripe part of the end zone. He's going to take the clean snap, punt it away. It's going to be a short punt fielded by Cincinnati, and we got a flag on the field and only about a 5-yard return. So we're going to see what we get there. That punt was fielded by Alden Knight for Cincinnati, who hasn't really been able to get anything going there back to return punts this evening. So we're going to get a legal block in the back, so that's going to help out the Miami defenses. It's going to push the Bearcats back just a little bit to start their drive with 9:45 to go now in this 4th quarter. So still a lot of time left. I mean, you look back at the game last year in Oxford, where I don't remember the exact minute mark, but it was around 4 minutes, and Miami blew a 14-point lead. So anything's really possible, especially in this rivalry.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think especially with the turnover. I know we've been screaming for that. But with this offense, I mean, I feel like your defense might have to end up being your offense in this game. So a turnover can definitely change the trend in this game.
Schroeder's going to hand it off to Warren. He's going to get hit in the backfield, get out and break a couple tackles and get out to the first down. It looked like he was going to be wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, but shook off a couple tackles, got up in a little bit open space, and got out for the first down. So that's going to push the ball into Red Hawk territory as the Bearcats are looking to put this game away with some points.
It looks like Luke Fickle and the Bearcats are going to really go for a run first option here to just take some time off the clock and eat it away from Miami's scoring opportunity.
So Ryder's going to have 3 out wide, 2 to his left, 1 to his right with his running back Warren from his left. Shifting over to his right, it's going to be it's going to be a fake handoff to Warren, and Ryder's going to keep it and gain about a yard there, and that's going to bring up about a 2nd and 10 from the 44-yard line. It's going to bring up it's going to bring up a 2nd and 7 from the 44-yard line for the Bearcats as that clock continues to tick. So the sand is running out of the hourglass here on the RedHawks pretty quickly here, but like we said, all you need is about four minutes to turn the tides. So we'll see what happens here going into the later part of this fourth quarter. Ryder's going to shift Warren to his right. He's going to hand it off to Warren. Warren's going to be swallowed up by the defensive line of Miami and gain only about 2 yards, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and around 6 for the Bearcats at the Miami 43-yard line. So Miami looking to get off the field once again and give it back to their offense, who have yet to be able to convert at all, really the whole game, as they were driving pretty well late into the second half and really haven't been able to do anything of recent, and it's been very stale offense for the RedHawks and Coach Martin, and really got to light a fire under the belt here. The defense has proven they can get off the field wherever they may be put. So it's going to be handoff to Warren, and Warren's going to be swallowed up by the RedHawk defense, and looks like he got out to about the first down, as he looked like he was going to go down at the line of scrimmage and spun off a tackle, and he just kept on keeping those legs running and picks up the first down, and that's really got to hurt for the RedHawks, as it looked like they really had him back and wasn't unable to wrap it up, and Andrew Sharp there on the corner unable to contain Warren as he just was unable to wrap him up, and that's going to bring a first down and a fresh set of downs for the Bearcats as the clock is going to tick inside the 7-minute mark here. 14-0, the Bearcats leading. Snap's going to go to Warren once again. He's going to be swallowed up in the backfield, and it's going to be a tackle for a loss. And a handful of RedHawks were in there on the tackle, as Junior McMullen is going to be credited for the tackle there, who's been very quiet tonight, as we've stated earlier.
And as the clock is approaching towards 6, with 2nd and 12, we got to look for a quick outage in this situation.
It's going to bring us to the 6-minute mark, and Cincinnati, rightfully so, is taking their sweet time with the ball, milking the clock, as the running back Warren's going to get the call once again and get back to about the line of scrimmage, the original line of scrimmage, and that's going to bring up another third down and 8, as the first timeout of the second half is taken by Coach Martin for the RedHawks, as he's got to save some time at some point, and it's better. Some people want to wait until you really need them, but it does boost a little bit morale to see a little bit more time on the clock earlier, especially when you're down 2 possessions.
No, I definitely agree with that. So we're under the 6-minute mark now. Really getting a stop here would be definitely key. And then we can see what possibly the RedHawks can do when they get the ball back.
I do like that timeout by Coach. I think that this will let the defense rest a little bit while they get settled, think of a play, and then, the offense got to get ready to go right on the field after this, get down the field, score, and get right back into this game. But it all comes down to this stop right here. I think this is the make or break moment right now for the RedHawks.
And what would a turnover do for this Miami defense? It would do wonders. So let's see if we can get that turnover, captain turnover on the sideline out there. And we might have to get the team to roll with that if they can ever start turning over the ball. But huge third down for the RedHawks here. 3rd and 8 from Miami's 34. It's going to be a fake handoff and pass out to.
Why would you do that?
To Cincinnati, and that's going to be a pass interference there as the ball looked like it was going to be short, and DeAndre Daniels on the coverage there just went up and tackled the Cincinnati wide receiver as he didn't know that the ball was thrown short, and on the incomplete pass there, intended receiver for the Bearcats was number 1, Khalil Lewis, the senior from Miami, Florida. So that's going to bring up a fresh set of downs for the Bearcats at the Miami 19-yard line, and it's starting to look very measly for the RedHawks here.
Bleak.
It looked like on that last play, the wide receiver had the DB beat in the downfield and came back and made that mistake, and that's what cost the penalty.
And it's just very difficult, I feel like, to weigh that balance in college because it's not the penalty isn't at the spot of the foul. So having that 15 yards, I think he was like, it's better than 6 points, but it's just really deflating when you see a situation where it could have been incomplete without that penalty.
So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 4 from the Miami 13-yard line as Luke Fickle and company are just looking to milk this clock as much as possible here and really just punch it in and go for the gun punch here, as Miami is really reeling now, and that defense that's played very well tonight and has really have no run support, as if you will, tonight at all.
Yeah, they definitely did not.
So the handoff's going to go to Warren. Nothing really doing there, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down and around 3 yards for the Bearcats as the clock continues to tick. And I don't know if Chuck Martin has changed his strategy, if he's going to hold those last 2 timeouts for his offense, or if he believes that this game's over. But we're going to see if they can get a stop here, and Cincinnati looking to at least get a field goal and push it to 3 possessions, and that would almost be the backbreaker. But crazier things can happen, and you might not even want to take that field goal on this rainy day, maybe a bobble snap and maybe a block kick. So handoff's going to be to Warren, and he looks like he's going to be just short given the spot here, as the line judge is going to signal for a 1st down, even though it looks very close. And if it's a 1st down, it's going to just about put away the RedHawks, as this clock's going to continue to tick inside the 4-minute mark. And that will be a 1st and goal for the Bearcats at the Miami 9-yard line. So not too good here, given a miracle here at Paul Brown Stadium. The RedHawks are going to start 0-2 on the season, heading on the road next week to University of Minnesota.
So that is a rough batch for them to kind of start off with.
Another handoff to Warren. He's going to lose a couple yards there, as Coach Martin decides to take his timeouts, and Miami sideline looks very deflated, as some of the Miami fans here are deciding to try to beat the traffic here and make it a little ways north back to Oxford, or wherever they may live, as there's Miami fans just about everywhere in the tri-state area. So I know Hans is going back to Fairfield. Me and Cody are going to truck it back to Oxford.
And then not to look a little too bleak on Miami's future, pending what the result is of this game. But if they start 0-2 and they have to play a tough opponent in Minnesota, not foreshadowing anything, but, I mean, Miami has been here before, and with Gus, they had started 0-6 when Gus wasn't playing, and then he took over the reins, and they went 6-0 before they went to that bowl game. So just something to think about. Miami's had rough patches before, but this is really a season where we really thought they were going to bounce back with so many close losses last year. I don't know any type of projection or any type of future outlook you guys kind of have.
Yeah. It looks right now the Minnesota Golden Gophers are beating the Fresno State Bulldogs 10-0 in the second quarter. So, you never know next week. Minnesota's a big-name team, but we still got a lot of juice left in us.
Yeah, and I mean, the way you're going to look at it is Miami is still does not have a loss in the MAC standings. So everything in their goals to get to Detroit in the MAC championship is still ahead of us. They're still ahead of them and Coach Martin, and they got to remember that and make sure they preach that and make sure that they keep fighting, because given a very good effort at Minnesota against PJ Fleck and company next week, they're probably looking at 0-3 on the season. So then they are going to travel to Bowling Green, which hopefully we will travel up there and bring that game to you, as we won't be able to make it to Minneapolis next week due to funding from
I'm
the
really
university.
frustrated on that.
A little bit of a pickle there, trying to get up there. It would be a little bit of a drive for us, but so we will not be able to carry the game for you, but you'll be able to tune in somehow on either the flagship station for Miami or ESPN, or I believe it might be on Big Ten Network. So the clock is at 3:25 here as the rain continues to fall down here at the 9-yard line for the Bearcats, as they have a 3rd and goal, and Miami's just really banking on some freak turnover or turn of events here. But I mean, we saw it last year in Oxford, and walking out of that stadium last year, it was just kind of disbelief of how they really lost that game, is because it seemed like everybody was ready to rush the field, and all of a sudden the balloon was popped, all the air left the city of Oxford and traveled down to Cincinnati. So that's what it's looking like today, but a really uneventful game. I mean, last year was a very exciting, well, obviously much better weather night game without the rain and the wind, but no excuses as both teams have to play in the same condition, and both quarterbacks are facing the same wet balls and same wind, and this Miami defense has really looked stiff tonight, as they've held the Cincinnati Bearcats offense to less points than the UCLA Bruins. So yeah, I mean, it's a little silver lining there.
Yeah,
for
you can hold on
the
to
Miami
it.
defense.
And then something else, I mean, I feel like late night games in theory are awesome, but sometimes, man, it can just lead to fatigue of the whole day of anticipation and nerves and pregame jitters. Once it hits 8 o'clock, I mean, it's not too late, but sometimes you might be tired by that time, and I think that might have been shown in the offense with this weather, also another factor.
So Ritter's gonna fake handoff to Warren and throw a touchdown pass to his tight end. On the reception there is his trusted tight end, Josiah DeGuerro, to stick the final stake in the Miami Hearts tonight, as pending the PNT. That's going to push the lead out for the Bearcats to 21-0. So Miami borrowing a score on their last drive of the game, as they're going to get the ball back, will be shut out here at Paul Brown Stadium against their rivals, Cincinnati Bearcats, as Luke Fickell is really taking control of this rivalry, and the PAT is up and good, as the rest of the Miami faithful are going to file out of this stadium, and the celebration will continue for the Cincinnati Bearcats, as they will keep the bell, as it looks like borrowing a miracle on steroids here for the RedHawks.
And I feel like that party's been extended for a long time. I mean, it's been 12 years in a row and about to be 13.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it looks like Cincinnati, I mean, coming up, they got Alabama A&M and then OU, Ohio University, that is. They could keep going on in this win streak here after 2-0 right now. But, I think that their offense is going to find a short stick soon here. They're going to run into a team that can stop the run, and they're not going to know what to do. So, I think that this is just a team that we couldn't handle, and, we couldn't handle them right now, but I feel like if we were to play this team later on in the year, we would have a good shot to beat them, especially with this weather. And, anything could have gone our way today, but the dice just didn't roll for us.
Absolutely. Very, very well put there. As I agree, it's very tough to play a team every year, beginning of the season, because you're really not in your true form the first few games of the season. You're still working out positions and working out what you're good and what you're not good at. So Miami hasn't been able to have the tune-up games as a lot of teams get to have. But, I mean, no excuses, as Cincinnati went to Pasadena in the Rose Bowl and knocked off UCLA and Chip Kelly. And they're going to look to start 2-0 on the season, and Miami's going to probably drop to 0-2 on the season heading to University of Minnesota next weekend, as the kick is going to be taken by Maurice Thomas and taken to about the 15-yard line. So that's where Gus Ragland's going to take over once again. And you got to feel for Gus Ragland a little bit here, as this is not the effort that he really wanted for his final game as a Miami RedHawk playing Cincinnati, unable to get a win against the hometown rival, University of Cincinnati. So it's got to feel for him, as nobody feels worse than him, as he's a very good leader on the team and very outspoken and in the face of this Miami RedHawks team. And even though this game isn't all on his shoulders, as he's played fairly well given the conditions, he's gonna feel a lot of that pressure on himself just because the way it really is. So got to feel for those guys, and a lot of these seniors, as is this final game against the Bearcats, as they felt like they've let last year slip away, and they felt like they had a really good opportunity to get a win against the biggest rival for Miami.
No, I mean, that's a great point, especially bringing up last year. I feel like last year just kind of puts that sick feeling in your stomach. They were sitting on that win, and then, that late interception really changed the fortunes of it. But, I mean, for Gus, I feel like it's a little too early to think about feeling bad for seniors, It's the second game of the year. Like you said, we haven't hit MAC play as well. I know it's his last game against UC, but definitely want to keep your head up for a lot longer of a season left over.
As Ragland's going to get it out to his tight end, Nate Becker, for the first down. Or, correction, Andrew Homer, who is actually a homer from Cincinnati, playing in his hometown. As Ragland's going to get out and run and get about 5 yards as the clock continues to tick under the 2:10 mark. As you know, there's no 2-minute warning in college football. So the clock will continue to run until the first down markers the clock stops when when it's a first down, until they're set in college football. So you get a little bit of a break there, as Ragland's going to drop back. He's going deep to Luke Mayock, and it's going to be incomplete, as he missed him completely, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 7 at Miami's own 31-yard line. So a little bit of garbage time here, as the game has seemed to be out of reach here, with Miami down 21-0 with 1:50 to go in the fourth quarter. Ragland's going to roll out. He's going to try to get it to Jack Sorensen, who goes up and gets upended in the air and goes down hard. He took a hard hit. So tough night for Jack Sorensen. That's going to bring up a 4th down, and Miami's going to throw the perennial white flag and trot out Kyle Kramer one last time tonight to punt, and effectively going to end the game here, as you got to believe that Luke Fickell and the Cincinnati offense will just take a couple knees and call it a night. As the punt is up and away, low, wobbly kick. It's not going to be fielded, and it's going to take a Cincinnati bounce about to the 49-yard line, down by Bart Bartelli from Texas. So that's where we're going to be left at the 1:34 mark. 1st down and 10 at the Cincinnati 42-yard line. Luke Fickell is going to huddle up his guys and just say to them, good job. Just field it, or take the snap and knee it down a couple times, and we'll go in the locker room and get some much needed food.
So much, yeah.
Speaking of food, what are they bringing us for the press box here?
Nothing.
They're letting us out to dry here a little bit.
I know.
Only ordered 8 pizzas for a press box full of writers and broadcasters. We got 4 broadcasts going on with the ESPN, us, and then 2 flagship radio stations for the RedHawks and the Bearcats, as that ball is going to be snapped and kneed down by Desmond Ritter. Job well done by him.
You know, I really think that Coach Martin's going to have these guys go through the jug machine and practice a lot. A couple of deep balls here and there that they could have caught, you know, that would have really changed the momentum of the game. And, you know, I don't understand why a lot of these players don't wear gloves on our side of the field, but I hope they hit that jug machine this week in practice.
That's a good point. Definitely get with the Raglan maybe tomorrow afternoon and get on the same page. But you got, it's not going to stop raining here until about Monday, so maybe they're going to get it. They can get into the indoor facility and work on that a little bit. But the clock's going to continue to tick inside the 35-second mark, and Cincinnati is just going to have to knee it one more time, as Ritter is going to take his last snap of the game, take a knee, and both teams are going to head to the sideline. Coach Luke Fickle and Coach Chuck Martin will meet and say job well done, but job better done by the Cincinnati Bearcats, as they etch their 13th win in a row against the Miami RedHawks here in this battle for the victory bell. So unfortunately, not the result that we wanted, and the student body at Miami and especially the players and fans wanted tonight, as Miami really liked their chances going into the season against Cincinnati. You're always looking forward to that Cincinnati game, and maybe you thought that Miami was looking forward and look past Marshall, and that was a little bit of a slip up, but they were going to come ready to play against Cincinnati, but unable to get it done tonight and at Paul Brown Stadium. But overall, pretty well played game from the defensive standpoint from the RedHawks, but the offense unable to do anything. So any last thoughts from you guys, Cody and Hans?
Yeah, I mean, the box score doesn't let you see that the defense played well with the 21 points that Cincinnati got. But a thought of mine is with the struggles that they had, especially early on with Ritter, and like the struggles they had last week against Isaiah Green with these quote-unquote dual threat quarterbacks. I'll put quote-unquote with Ritter. We didn't see a lot of passes. It just makes me a little concerned to see how they can contain a QB that is very mobile and who can stretch out plays and actually gain yards on his own. So that's a concern moving forward. I don't know a lot of the matchups. I'm not too familiar with Minnesota's quarterback, but that might be something of a concern to think of in the future with this defense.
Yeah, just to bounce off that, you know, you can't win any games if you don't score any points, and that's just something that we got to work on. I know we put up a couple of points last week against Marshall, but just wasn't enough last week, and it's not enough today. And, you know, Miami needs to get into the locker room back at home, watch the tape, figure out what they need to do to change it, because, you know, we can't go 0-6 and expect Gus to be a savior again and take us 6-0.
Absolutely. So that just about wraps us up here at Paul Brown Stadium. Your final score is Cincinnati 21, Miami 0. It's been fun. Lots of rain. Continue rain. Everybody needs to drive safe tonight if you're driving in the Cincinnati area. Everybody needs to stay dry. So Miami on the year will drop to 0-2 as they travel to University of Minnesota next week.
Minnesota.
And Cincinnati will travel to, or will stay here at home, but will play on campus against Alabama A&M. So looking for Cincinnati to move to 3-0 in the season as they improve to 2-0 and get their 13th straight win against the RedHawks. For Kenny Schierlinger, Hans, and Cody, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed our broadcast. If you want to support us even more, like and comment We always like to hear your comments and maybe tips and pointers. We're always open to that, and we'll always read those. And also subscribe and tell your friends about us, as supporting student radios. All of us are trying to just get better at our craft and bring you some Miami football. So hopefully a better result. Next time we get a call for you, we'll bring that game to you, as Miami will play at Bowling Green in 2 weeks. Next home game for Miami will be against Western Michigan in Oxford. That game will start at 3:30. We will most definitely bring that game to you. But for Kenny, Hans, and Cody, good night for now. Stay dry, drive safe. Thank you for listening to Red Hawk Radio. Have a great night, everybody.